Can you say hard hats, folks? Hard hats, lunch pail, steel toe boots.
Anything short of a championship this year is a failure. Look at this boomer right here.
You've just got so much talent here.
Somebody said we need to apologize for Jalen.
Can I call it John? What are we apologizing for? What did we say? What did we do?
Here it is.
We're live,
There's
baby.
the countdown, guys. We are live, and you are looking at exactly what happened here as the clock ticks down to 0, and the Celtics win. Banner 18 NBA champions 2024, beating the Dallas Mavericks 4 games to 1. And looky what we have here. Who's that guy?
Hard hats.
Let's go!
Lunch pails.
Let's go!
Steel toe boots.
It is
And
the
banner 18,
championship is a
John.
disappointment, and they did not disappoint.
What
What
a
a
game.
day.
What a series. What a team. What a season. What a banner to come, John.
Banner 18.
Jimmy Toscano. That's our surprise. We told you guys.
Undefeated this year in the TD Garden.
We told you in the pregame we'd have a surprise for you, and that surprise is Jimmy Toscano, Sherrod Blakely in the hard hat, here at TD Garden, celebrating the Celtics, winning the NBA banner, NBA title here, beating the Dallas Mavericks pretty easily, we would say. What were we sweating about, guys? What were you sweating about? Was I sweating?
PTSD, man. Yeah, you were sweating. We were all sweating a little bit. To be
A
completely
little
honest,
bit. Yeah.
Mavericks just were waiting. They were hoping the Celtics would go on a run, Sherrod. Celtics would go on one, then they'd go cold. Mavericks would just kind of hang around, but far enough away where you weren't. I mean, I wasn't John Zannis level sweat, but I was, I wasn't ready to celebrate until like 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter when I said, okay, mathematically speaking, Mavs have like 76 points at this point. I don't expect them to somehow end up with 100.
No, listen. Once they got that double-digit lead and they didn't let that go, I felt good about it. You
feeling good?
Okay.
Okay.
I felt this thing was a wrap. I mean, Sam Hauser knocks down a 3, gets a steal.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, that 3-point lead is a 10-point lead, and it just kept growing and growing from there. And we saw top 5 Tatum was in a building. This was top 5 Tatum.
We got the most emotional Tatum I think I've ever seen.
Goodness,
Fist
yes.
pumping,
Yes.
waving to the crowd,
Attacking.
fired up, attacking when he needed to. I would have liked to see it a little bit more in that first half, but did we needed to do? I think what do you have 9 assists in the first half,
Yeah.
Sherrod. So again, what he's been doing all playoffs long is just finding other ways to affect the game when that outside shot's not falling. It's okay. He's getting everybody involved. You already talked about guys like Hauser chipping in. You had a really great game from Holiday too, and
Another double-double.
and that's even with him missing like 6 attempts at the
Drew
rim.
could have had about 30.
Yeah, and so guys were contributing. I mean, Derek White lost a couple of teeth. I mean, guys, we didn't even mention. I don't want to say his name. I don't want Bobby's head to blow off. But Kristaps Porzingis,
The zinger.
coming in, and I thought the roof was going to blow off this place when they announced Porzingis into the game. Sherrod, little burst I thought from him, but I think he got a lot more comfortable with that second stint that he had. And I'll say it, he was effective for them. He definitely contributed to this win tonight. It wasn't just a decoy out there.
I mean, his second stint was much more effective because his first stint, he was out there with Josh Green, and Josh Green just lit him up, which Josh Green should. I mean, Porzingis was not getting out defensively.
Yeah.
They made some adjustments. He did a much better job going forward. And the Celtics, again, they never allowed Dallas to get comfortable in this game. There was never a point where you felt that Dallas had the momentum. The tide was turning in their favor. And that is what championship teams do, when you can put teams away, bury them, put the headstone on, rest in peace, Kyrie Irving, former Celtic. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Best part, not the best part, but maybe one of the top 5 best parts of winning this game tonight is we don't have to hear Kyrie Irving nonsense no more.
Well, I don't want to hear you in the Kyrie Irving nonsense. It's done.
That's it.
Jimmy
Just
is
don't have to
finally
hear it.
done.
We don't hear it anymore. But it's a celebration here at the TD Garden. I think we got a pretty good shot here, but the confetti rain, unlimited
cool.
supply of confetti. I've never seen that. You've been in the building. You've been in a couple buildings. I don't know how that ranks, but man, that was raining down.
They borrowed some from Dallas Game 4. They had a little left over after they rained it out. Philly chipped in with some of their extra confetti too that they haven't gotten to use against the Celtics as well. But yeah, I mean, guys, let's not get into the let's friggin' shit talk a little bit, okay? What, Jimmy Toscano? What did you predict the series would end in? I forget.
What I predict, you know what I predicted. Same as you, John. Celtics in 5. I didn't buy the hype. Whatever the fake hype was coming out of like the national media, I just didn't see it. And it came down to what can Luka and Kyrie do for you? Honestly, they couldn't do enough. Kyrie was basically non-existent aside from, maybe a game and a quarter here and there. And Luka was like Luka light. You never got that Luka Magic vibe. You never felt like he could totally engage in these games like he needed to be for an NBA Finals. And it felt like today this Dallas team, they didn't come here to win today. From the start, they were flat. The Celtics let them hang around, but every time the Celtics went on a little run, the Mavs didn't. It's not like the Mavs didn't have this answer. They didn't go on a run back. They just hung around with like 15 to 20 points. It was never a really competitive game, Sherrod.
Them getting back to Boston allowed them to save things. And that's all they wanted to do. I mean, you look at the guys that were playing out of their minds in Game 4, guys like Derek Lively had 2 points, 4 rebounds, 5 fouls. You look at, Exum, you look at Hardaway, you go down the line of guys that were difference makers. They were just absolute trash in this game. And the guy that you mentioned right off the top, Kyrie Irving, the eminent domain that Celtics fans have in his head is scary. They're not even really going
It's over now. It's over.
They weren't even going at him hard the way they've done in the past. And all he could do was talk about how, trying to basically have a little bit of revisionist history in his time as a Celtic. Bottom line is,
it was a Kyrie PR tour. I don't know if he knew it was the finals.
This was a great way to close that chapter. That close Kyrie.
I agree.
You not only do you give Banner 18, which puts you one more than the Lakers, but you do it putting to bed a guy that
a storyline that you can forget now.
You could just like, you know what?
Yeah.
This is
Jimmy,
why
Jimmy doesn't forget.
Above it.
For us.
I mean, I forgive, but I never forget. I forgive, but I never forget.
Jimmy.
I'm past it. You know what it is? I'm officially better than it now, John. It doesn't. But it's beneath me. It doesn't. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Like who? What?
Kyrie? Kyrie?
I got better things to do now. I got better things to do. I'm waiting for a banner to be raised next season. I don't have to worry about who used to play here, who said this about what, who cares about the city. You know what? If you don't like it, get the F out. We're cool with who we got here. And I got to say, there's nobody on this Celtics team that has any problems with the city, the organization, each other, the fans. It's all love right now in the Celtics organization. And I'll tell you what, a few years ago, guys, I thought we were hitting the lowest of lows. I'm talking about those seasons with Kyrie, right after Kyrie. Teams just didn't seem to want to play in Boston. Players didn't seem to want to play here. Completely different vibe now, and it happened quick. You got to give the Celtics ownership a lot of credit. You got to give Brad credit. You got to give Missoula credit for stepping in the way he did when all hell broke loose. And this is an organization that's been at the top of the top, basically since the beginning. It remains that way. I think it's and another, again, a statement season from this team. And if you want to give Wick for a second his flowers, take a look at the ownership around Boston right now. It's pretty dark and dismal in most cases. But Wick and that ownership team, their number one goal is to bring home Banner 18, Sherrod. They've been saying it for years, whether it's fireworks, going out, getting the guys paying the tax. They gave Brad free will to do what he needed to do, and Celtics did. Players did the best.
And Wick has been saying that, and I don't think Celtics fans really embrace that. He's willing to pay for a championship caliber
He's
team.
A fan,
and when he's openly admitted that I'm losing money with this team, but we wanted to get Banner 18, and they did.
The GoFundMe for Wick is open, by the way.
We're gonna eat that one. We gotta give props. We got a ton of super chats that flooded in. Jason Tatum. 200
awesome
bones here. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, we're trying to get back to it.
Thank you, man.
We do thank you guys. I'm trying to circle back to some of these.
John, don't miss the super chats. I was getting texts being like, dude, you didn't put my super chat up.
Texts? These guys know your phone number?
Some people have my phone number.
Oh, Jimmy. Rookie mistake, John. Tell them that's a rookie mistake.
Yeah, I mean, they could be friends too, but some people have figured out ways to reach me.
My real name's not even John Zannis. Yeah, so I got
a target on my back right now. I really should have my back turned to the other way right now.
And I'm not even Greek.
John,
anyway,
we have a merch announcement too. If you want to mention that.
I don't yet because I'm trying to catch up on our super charts, and I will get to the merch announcement.
That's fine.
Promise, Jimmy. I promise we're going to get to that.
It's important. It's big. It's big merch news.
Staying on there's a commemorative Garden Report Championship T-shirt that we want to make sure that you guys get in on. I'll put that up in a little bit. Keep it on the topic that you talked about. Yeah, look, we talk about the assembling this team, and there was some concern and some question as to whether Wick would go
Pretty cool
there,
down
right?
there.
And you had that issue where you're like, oh, they don't want to go into the tax. They want that taxpayer savings that year. They didn't want to spend a little extra to make a team that was marginal, maybe kind of push across the finish line. And there was concern that, like, I don't know that they're going to do that. And then just bing, bang, boom, just started friggin' throwing cash all over the place. And again, it's impossible once again to not talk about it, but Wick goes to it right away. In fact, the question asked to Wick was, hey, you sensed that this wasn't going to be a championship team and you retooled it. And that's exactly what they did. And
you have
look,
to make hard decisions.
It's pretty hard to do what the Celtics did, which is to enter the season as, if not prohibitive, like big time favorites to win. I know a lot of people thought Denver was lurking and that might be a tougher one, but I mean, we said, and it says it in our open, it's championship or bust, and it has been all year. There really was only one acceptable result for this team. They took all comers all year long. I mean, look at this. What are we got all freaked out over a single loss to Dallas, a single loss to Miami, a single loss to I don't even remember who the hell else they played, and a sweep of Indiana, Cleveland. I mean, and guess
about that.
National media is going to go, whoa, they didn't play anybody, and Dallas was weak, and Kyrie didn't this, and the go. That's what they did. They put these guys lights out. 16-3. I know 16-2 would have been historic. 16-3 is freaking ridiculous. They went 80-21 on the season. It's banana land that they did this all year long. Start to finish, wire to wire, the best team in basketball, and it ends with a championship. I don't know what else anybody could ask for here. So they deserve everything that's coming their way and more. And beyond that is, as Jimmy said, what are you going to say to the haters, Jimmy?
I'm going to say hi haters all summer long. You're not going to see me in the YouTube comment section going back and forth. You're not going to see me going back and forth on Twitter with the haters. And people are going to, because you know what a hater does, John? They just move the goalposts. They're just born to hate. They wake up, Sherrod, and what can I hate today? That's what the trolls do. That's what the haters do. But if you're a Celtics fan, don't fall for that trap. Celtics did exactly what they set out to do. They were the best team from start to finish. They were the favorite to win the title, and they did it. That's hard to do, as John mentioned, because you've got a target on your back. You've got all the expectations. When you win, a lot of times, Sherrod, when you're expected to win, it doesn't even feel good to win. It just feels like, okay, like on to the next one. You know how relieved these guys feel right now? It's probably the first time, maybe months, maybe all season, that they've actually felt actual joy, right? Because they've set out to do what they were expected to do, not just what other people expected them to do, but what they expected to do. So mission accomplished, and they deserve all the credit in the world. You will not see me going to war with it, because tomorrow morning, we already saw it. We saw a couple of losers on TV recently, Joel Embiid, and who was the other guy? Joel and Paul, PG, whatever it's Paul George. Two guys who all they know how to do is lose. And they're going on TV, and Embiid is saying, the Celtics can't be a dynasty because too many people were hurt or I was hurt. So if Joel Embiid is the barometer for whether or not you're a dynasty, then there can't be a dynasty because he's always hurt.
Here's the thing. A dynasty is when you win multiple championships. So the Celtics haven't had a chance to be a dynasty.
No.
But the way they're built, think about this. Their best player is 26. Their second best player is 27.
Yep.
They have a 7'2" mismatch, inside-outside guy. They've got the best perimeter on the ball defender, and
they've got the best backcourt defensively.
They've got the best backcourt defensively, and a guy like Sam Hauser, and I mentioned him earlier. Sam was mediocre at best throughout the playoffs. Yet in the finals, clearly stepped his game up. This was of all the playoff series, the finals was the best one that Sam Hauser had in terms of consistency, big impact plays. So when you start looking at their top seven, and Peyton Pritchard,
the real playoff piece,
is anyone going to defend him at the end of a damn quarter?
How did that happen?
How does that happen over and
Missoula
over?
literally put him in for that.
He literally played 4 seconds in the first half.
This was like,
he had one job.
We're gonna let him do. He already did this.
This is your job. You're going to dribble the ball and shoot from half court. That's all I want you to do. And if you're Dallas, You didn't see
You
that
should have had
coming?
2 guys on.
He does this all the
That's what I'm
time.
saying. That's a Jason Kidd special. Oh, that makes me so happy. I can't stand Jason
That
Kidd.
that
It
was
makes me
such a
happy
chef's
that
kiss there. That was such a moment. That was
that
such a
was
moment.
perfect. Yeah, but just
Real quick, Jimmy, because you want to acknowledge
Yeah.
the super chats. I want to talk about some of them on the screen. Daniel, thank you very much. Didn't watch many games this year. Listen to every Garden report. You guys are the best. Said the Celtics hadn't been tested. Turns out there
Thank
wasn't
you
a
so
team
much.
that could test them. $100 from Daniel. Thank you, Chad. I want to see constant super
Thank you
chats.
so much. Appreciate
Hey,
that. I can't see
Daniel
the
said it.
comments right now. It's killing me, but I'm going to
Daniel
watch this
said it,
back
not
tomorrow.
us. Yeah, thank you, Timmy. Thank you, everybody who has thrown in here. And again, we do appreciate it, you guys. But we're just happy to have you in here as we're going to talk, into the night a little bit here. We're going to get some sound back. Bobby's heading into the locker room. Amit, Nick, Josue, we've unleashed those guys on the court. We have no idea what's going to happen and what's coming back here. So we'll get some sound on here. We'll get some video from the court and some cool stuff. And then afterwards, we want to tell all of you guys, we are going to, because as we said, it's a rare occasion where we have the entire Garden Report crew at the Garden. We're going to shut down this stream.
We're
for
taking
like
over the Garden.
5 minutes, and we're going to do a Garden Report late night edition with all of us on the court together. And we want you guys to hang out for that as well. But we've got plenty to talk about as we go through here. And again, talking about the game stuff, starting at the top, guys. There was that concern, right, about, well, did Dallas crack it? Sure, we talked about it in the pregame a little. Did the Mavericks unlock something, crack the code? And as I said, as the show went on, I talked myself completely out of that nonsense. I'm like, what's the code? Like Hardy and Exum, but people were worried about Hardaway. I don't want to kill Bobby, but I'm going to kill Bobby. Bobby's worried about Derek Lively hitting threes. Like we went a little crazy. We got a little crazy. Some real galaxy brain shit.
To make ourselves stay interested, I think.
We made ourselves get a little crazy, I think, for sure. And it kind of flipped back to what it was when the series began, which is a lot of really, really, really good players on the Celtics, a couple of really, really, really good players on the Mavericks, and then a few role players that you'll absolutely dare them to beat you. As long as you played disciplined side. And honestly, the Celtics stuck to their game plan most of the night. If they don't smoke 15 bunnies, this thing is a 35-point laugher at this point. But defensively, they picked up full court. You knew right out of the gate they were serious. They picked up full court the entire game. They chased those guys. They hounded those guys. Their communication, their rotations on defense were great. And that's always the thing is you could deal with a few stints of shit offense like they did. I mean, they went an 8-minute stretch between the third and the fourth there with 8 points. But you know what Dallas scored during that 8-minute stretch? 8 points. And that was it. That was where the run was going to come, if at all, and it didn't. The Celtics went cold, but they kept Dallas out of it too by challenging guys like Herb Jones to go ahead, shoot that top of the key three all you want. I don't care. Staying with Luka and Kyrie, making sure that the shots they hit were really tough shots. And they did it all game, and that's what they did. That was a formula for success in the first 3 games, and they did it again.
Well, right off the bat, I mean, the Celtics could not make shots. But then you look over, guess what? Dallas was even crappier. I mean, Dallas missed 5 of the first 6 shots. The Celtics were like 3 for 8 in that stretch, had a 9-2 lead, even though you knew their offense was going to get so much better, and that defense was not going to crack. It was going to be their possession after possession. And the Celtics, again, that to me, that set the tone for how this game was going to play out. They allowed their defense to really take center stage, which I don't think they did enough of that in the finals and frankly in the playoffs. But when they do that, that offense eventually come around. And again, I think Tatum, I was a little surprised he did not, and we can talk more about this. I was surprised that he did not get MVP because I thought that it was relatively close coming into this game. I thought Brown was slightly ahead, but Tatum was so good in this game.
Yeah.
In almost every facet of play. And Jalen was solid, but I didn't think Jalen was spectacular. But
I thought he was sloppy.
If you look at the totality of the finals, I can see why you give it to Jalen. But, man, when the game mattered most, Tatum stepped up.
I thought they allowed Tatum to be the guy more tonight. Like, he had more opportunities. He had the ball in his hands. He did miss a lot of shots that you wanted to just, like, be like the final nail in the coffin type 3. But he had a better game 5, I thought, than Brown overall. But to John's point, there was some situations where it just felt like maybe he was a little slow. It was a toss-up. I'm interested to see how close the voting was. I can see why you'd vote for Jaylen Brown, but if it was more like of a recency bias thing, if you thought it was neck and neck, then yeah, I mean, I could see why people would have voted for Tatum tonight. Here's the thing, though, and you talked about it off the front. Nobody was scoring at front. Brown and Tatum were cold to start this game. Drew Holiday really paced them to start things off, and even he missed a couple bunnies. But this is the type of series that I think really sums up the Celtics this year, because it's hard to figure out who the MVP was. And that's kind of how the season went. You had a stacked team, basically, and that's how they won in these playoffs. You didn't need 50-point performances from Tatum or Brown. You know, you got your 25, you got your 30, and you got your 10 assists or your 8 rebounds, and then you got another 20 plus from Holiday, or maybe it was Derek White that night, or it was Porzingis in game 1 or whatever. So you had so much contributions. You already talked about Hauser. You know, I mean, you go down the line. You got contributions from everybody, which is how it happened all season long. So it's kind of fitting. I don't think this is the type of series that we're going to look back and be like, "Ooh, that Jaylen Brown, he put the team on his back in the NBA Finals and got the MVP." No, it wasn't like that. Like you said, Sherrod, they clamped down on defense. A lot how the 07-08 team won games was on that defensive side of the ball. When the Celtics played that way, it didn't matter that they didn't have a guy that dropped 40. They didn't need to. They had enough attacks from all over that somebody was going to figure it out on a given possession.
Yeah, and you know, a guy we haven't said at all, who a lot of the players are talking about coming into this game, is Al Horford. Right, getting this for Al, and you know, Al's been in the league forever.
Over two full regular seasons worth of playoffs.
Big Green, thank you, Big Green.
His ring.
And for him to get that ring, you know, and for him to be, I believe he was the first starter that checked out of the game.
He was.
And you could just tell that this meant the world to him. I talked to Tito for a little bit before the game, and
Horfords are going to get after it tonight. Horfords are going to get after it.
They're getting it in. They're getting it in. Yeah. They are getting it in hard, and deservedly so. I mean, you know, his defense is not going to get as much attention in the limelight because Luka's pretty damn special. But Al's ability to more times than not hold his own defensively on those switches was one of the many keys for the Celtics to get this win and frankly,
real quick, Jimmy, I'm going to give you a little. Going to give Jimmy a little plug here as we're putting something on the screen. I'm looking at a T-shirt with a bunch of names. Can you see it?
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. I'm looking down here for a second. But so this is what we call the name. This is the name drop tee. This is what I'm calling the name drop tee. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You've probably seen similar T-shirts floating around, but all year long, and again, no disrespect to the Stay Ready crew, but all year long, the team's been riding on these 6 names. I had to obviously put Al in there. There's no way I was going to keep Al out, even though he's coming off the bench. These are the dudes that got you to where you needed to go. I think we're going to probably put together a Stay Ready crew tee at some point, but bottom line is they're the dudes that got you where you needed to be. There's the banner 18, pretty self-explanatory. I like the white font with the green ampersand on the black tee. Those are all available in the merch store right now. And then you already know to the right of that, look at that clean banner 18 limited edition white hard hat. The green ones have been selling like crazy. These white ones are actually limited edition, folks. On the right side, there you go. Look at that. On the right side, the font changed. So it says hard hats, lunch pails, banner 18. Pretty self-explanatory. Nice. And definitely want to get those. And I've been seeing them around the TD Garden, honestly. These things I think we're going to start seeing pop out more and more and more. Just a shout out to the mentality of the Celtics. You know, you got to just – it's one of those things, Sherrod. Like when the shots aren't falling, you got to find other ways to win that game. You got to strap on the steel toe boots. You got to put on the hard hat. You got to get that lunch pail, and you just got to go to work. You got to dig deep.
This is what champions do.
You got to play dirty. This is what you don't win a championship without getting in the dirt.
No,
you don't.
No, you look at every team that wins a championship, and they all have that dog.
They all have that dog.
Well, I'll ask you. I'll say this: how many?
The white ones are clean.
Not saying they didn't do it all season, but how many times did you see guys hit the deck for loose balls tonight?
Derek White lost his teeth tonight, John.
This was a
Derek White lost his friggin' teeth. This was more guys hit the deck going after balls tonight than I can remember. And I'm not saying it is a knock. I'm just saying it happened all night long. Loose balls, scrambling. So you do that, you win the 50-50s, you play hard. And again, a lot of shots in and out, some sloppy execution here and there, and a bunch of missed bunnies, and they still won by 18. This was a 40-point game. If things went the other way, it was a totally dominating performance. And again, what did we say that was most impressive about the first 3 wins? As much as anything else, wasn't always that they were doing everything that they wanted to do. Is they had a plan, they stuck to it, and they worked their freaking asses off. You just saw a teeny bit of letdown there in game 4, just a teeny bit. Wheels came off the wagon and it got really ugly, but they got back to it. This might have been their most. This might have been.
We'll never talk about that game again. That's the beauty of That's the beauty of them winning it 5. We'll never talk about game 4 again. It means absolutely nothing. You didn't want a situation where you were going back to Dallas, and the Celtics, to their credit, they made sure that wasn't a reality.
I think that for me, game 4, I don't want to pretend it didn't happen, because I think game 4 set the tone for the level of focus we saw in game 5. There was no doubt in their minds.
You're right, Sherrod.
We're not going to let game 4 repeat itself.
They knew what they had to do.
They came in here. I don't know if they would have been making the diving plays and the hustle plays and Derek White losing teeth if they would have played a pretty good game and wound up losing game 4. They might have thought, well, we're just going to do a little bit more. No, they had to go back to the lab and say, look, we played like trash in game 4. Yeah, that can't happen again. We got to focus and lock in and handle our business, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, no, I mean, that you're right about that. I just don't want to go back to game 4. I don't need to anymore. I simply choose not to.
Listen,
I can do that now.
Play the recency bias card and go with game 5.
I'm only going to be thinking about game 1, 2, 3, and 5. I'm
thinking of and I can't wait to see, in 2-3 years, just the classics. This is a classic. You see Derek, just like we see Dave Cowan's diving for the loose ball. We're going to see Derek White losing teeth.
The picture of Derek White that's floating around social media with just like,
I'm telling you,
his teeth are all screaming at each other.
This
it looks
is the same guy. He got cut in one game. He's got stitches elsewhere. He's got teeth knocked out.
I think he's got to, honestly, he was losing his hair and he shaved off his hair. He's going to get rid of the rest of that grill.
Let it go.
Just let the whole thing go.
Imagine
how scary that dude would be.
Derek White
D'ing you up, full court, no teeth, no hair, no teeth, just a freaking straight up, like something out of Harry Potter.
Is that dude?
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, it's working. It worked. That must have hurt me. All joking aside, that sucks. Yeah, that sucks, man. I mean, pop some Advil in and get back out there, I guess. But damn.
Get some cotton. Make sure to stop the bleeding.
Yep.
Tomorrow
we're gonna get a list of I said this to you, John, after. I said tomorrow we're gonna get like a list of all the guys going in for surgery like they do in the NHL after they get eliminated. It's like Derek White, new grill. Porzingis needs like a new leg. Just go down the line with everything that these guys played hurt on today.
Jimmy, we have a request. Don't spend the next 3 minutes talking about this, please. But we have a request for dresses. I just want to let you know. We got a lot of shirts, dresses.
A dress. Okay.
Yes. Okay. I never considered women. Yes, Jimmy. Okay.
I did. Trust me. You should see the DMs. I can see. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well done,
no,
Jimmy.
But John, I didn't say that if you are thinking about buying something in the merch store, which we appreciate, by the way, don't forget code BANNER18 for 20% off anything in the merch store, guys. Don't forget it. A lot of people are buying stuff. They're not using the code.
He's not going to be able to hear you, but I'll give you a little boomer report here.
No boom, no rage today, baby. Banner 18. Banner 18. I'm going to find a spot, come back, and fuck shit up.
Okay.
Whoa.
Hey, that's the boss man talking. That's
wow. What
Anybody
time
on the court?
After hour show? That's almost
just forever to get from there. You're not going to be.
I was actually I caught the end of it next to Josue. I think I saw a tear roll down his cheek as the tears of
send me video. Okay, great. We got some stuff coming in from the court too, which we will get to in a little bit. And we're setting up Nick Gelso.
Still poking around out there in the court.
We talked to Ray Allen. There's still some people out there.
We got Ray.
We got Ray and Bobby, as we said, is in the locker room. And again, I hope.
Bobby getting showered by Cornette.
Dirk, thank you. Hard hat tip to everyone on the CLNS crew, including Amit, and we do know Amit is great. I also want to throw in Jackson Tolliver, a late addition to this team. This was like a PJ Brown sort of addition for this team, adding Jackson Tolliver to this team. This is what we needed to get over the top here. terrific producer behind the scenes. He's back there right now. And Richie LeMay, who's been killing it on social media with all of his stuff. We'll also give a hat tip to Noah Danzel, who's been tremendous, working over at Celtics blog and jumping in and doing a bunch of stuff with us. Really, really good stuff. Amazing contributions from a ton of people. And honestly, all of the kids here and all of the guys who've been grinding and chasing this team around all year long. Some of these kids out here are really putting in work. So hats off to all of those guys. They've been awesome. Answar the Great, $49.99 second round of drinks on me. Jimmy, I'm a contractor. I need that white hard hat, bro. I absolutely love the show. I watch after every game. Thank you very, very, very much for that. We do appreciate it.
Got the green ones too. So white's limited, but green's going nowhere, guys. We're gonna start seeing green around town, I think. Yeah. I'm trying to get some of these on the duck boat, so we'll see what we can do. If you're at the parade and you have a hard hat on, and you toss it to a player, and he wears it, you get another hard hat from me free of charge. Don't worry about losing your hard hats. Anyone at the parade, you just hit me up. I got you covered.
Okay, we need video proof of that, Jimmy, or else we're going to have to give a whole bunch away. But anyway, Rob Merrill, Banner 18, Dynasty incoming. Yeah, I could see that code, Banner 19.
They're built for a couple more years of this, at least.
Again, the window is legit, and it's real, and it's definitely something that you could see happening. We don't have any word. People are asking about the parade. We don't have any word on that yet. Thank you. Roland discovered this channel last playoffs. Been great all season. Cheers to Banner 18. Yes, we have been great all season.
Cheers to you guys. It's a celebration for everybody.
We have been excellent, I think. No,
it's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for the fans too, John. Don't forget, we've had a lot of ups and downs since
16 years.
Since 08. I mean, damn, it got bad for a while. Think about they traded, Pierce, KG. That Sherrod broke that news, by the way. And then that got ugly. But then it got fun because you ended up with like an upstart team, no expectations. Brad Stevens kind of lifted. He was a floor raiser. Brad Stevens was, the Evan Turner years, and then you kind of transition into the Isaiah Thomas years, right? And then that was obviously a lot of fun. Then you got the Kyrie years, which we'll keep it moving.
Walker.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
and then, things kind of got to this point now, so it's been a long road, but it's been worth it.
Oh my God, that's loud. That's loud. That was just some celebration. Really loud celebration
you just
here.
Gangway me?
No, I just put up a video, but the volume's too high.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just looking at some people on the court. That's just celebration stuff. We got some video here. Just some stuff from before when Wick took the court and they're taking the podium here. Just some good stuff here, a little bit of flavor,
I'm gonna have to grab some confetti, and I might have to sell some confetti on eBay or something. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of confetti.
I have bags of confetti from almost every championship, and I should have labeled it. I have it from Patriots. I've got dirt from the infield from every World Series. Yeah, I'm that guy.
Flex on him, John. Yeah, you're that nerd.
I'm that nerd. I did it. Yeah.
You have to get it. You have to send it in to get it like graded and stuff. Yeah.
I gave it away at a one of those swaps that you do.
That's what Ravel would do. Darren Ravel, like find something and go like.
Oh, Yankee swap. There was brawls over the infield dirt for a Red Sox championship at one of those things. It got intense.
Yankee swap.
As we said, I'm almost afraid to do this because he's not always the most exciting guy in the world, but an NBA champion, no doubt, and one who won one in 2008. Ray Allen was here. We caught him late, and we're going to hear from Ray on this team and this championship. Here we go.
In the building, 1/3 of the Big Three, 2008's Big Three.
Josue Pavon.
Ray, what's it like to be back here in Boston? And you just took in that moment out there. The Celtics are once again the NBA champion, 2024 champs. Take me through it, man.
The energy to be here. I always tell people if you want to watch a fevered fan base, specifically in the NBA Finals, there's no better place to be here in the Garden in Boston. Just being here just brought up so many old memories. So glad to experience this. I was here 2 years ago and it didn't end up so well. So that's why I'm sure for the guys that were here then, this is so amazing. It's such a perfect moment for them. when you go through so much struggle and strife, and then to be able to get to the mountaintop is amazing.
And there you have Ray Allen.
Okay.
Ray Allen.
Love a Ray Allen sighting. We don't see enough of that guy.
A little 90-second audience with Ray. Okay.
We don't see enough Ray, man, around town. It would have been cool to get more of the 08 team maybe here tonight, but it's not about the 08 team. This is about the this year's
There's
team.
a new
24.
bomb-ass squad in the building.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but the Celtics are built on tradition and having the former greats coming through, and that's one of the great things about
Paul's pretty much the only one really.
Yeah.
Well, Paul and Leon.
Paul spent a lot of time with the Celtics team this year. I mean, off season, before the season started. Yeah, a lot of time with Tatum. So I have a feeling he's somewhere, celebrating a little too hard.
Celebrating in his own special way.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully
Still
stay up Instagram Live tonight, Paul, please.
Still shouting out some of the super chats. Tony Lewis, a longtime viewer, found this show back 2020 in the bubble. Never imagined it'd be a great regular part of my life. 4 years and counting. Love the show, love the chat, love the Celtics. We are the champions, my friends. Thank you, Tony. Tony's here every single night, and we do appreciate it. It is amazing. It's a good payoff. Is everything we've said about this team? I just want to ask the chat. Is everything forgiven? Some of the wild shit that we said over time. We're just messing around.
We're just talking, right? We're just
still the jokes.
You, me,
talking.
So us.
Friends doing each other.
So us. Remember when you did that thing? It's crazy. I was going through some stuff personally at the time, and I didn't even mean it. I don't even know what I said. I was blacked out. Really?
Well, you know what? Somebody put it in my.
I remember 2 straight years in a row.
Somebody put it in my mentions today. Just it just shows that you care. Where's the rage come from, or where does some of that stuff when you see some stuff? We might have have you ever had a group of people yell at each other more over a 19-point lead as we did upstairs in the press box? Me and Bobby. I was grabbing Bobby and shaking him. Why did he do that? And he's like, dude, stop touching me. And I was like, okay. But
it's like I'm trying to type. We're just raging at a 25-point lead, being like, lazy play right there. See that?
It should be 40.
Yeah. No, but you know what it is, John? We're not enablers. That's what I always stand on. We are not enablers. If we see something that we don't like,
call it.
We're not. Yeah, we're gonna call it out. That doesn't mean that we don't think they can change. People can change.
What's Nick Gelso gonna do?
Sweat. That's all I've been doing is a lot of sweating.
Never know that.
I'm here. Could you guys?
Nick, you were sweating it out. We can hear you. You were sweating it out up on 9 with me, watching it.
The confetti
flying down there. Well, yeah, you weren't sweating by then, but you were a little nervous in that second half, were you?
I was quite nervous until this. I was pretty nervous. No, I wasn't nervous at all. Not once. The entire game. No, I really wasn't. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I was very confident. I mean, when the body language is that good, and when the body language is that good, their defense is that good, they're hustling, the energy, you can't beat that team. They're the best team in the league all year.
No. I mean, they play with focus. I mean,
focus.
It's not even an issue. The talent is top, head and shoulders above pretty much anyone in the league. And when you combine that with the focus that we saw in this game, there's only one end result, and that is whoever they're playing about to get that ass kicked. And Dallas, give them props for getting this far. They had to knock off some pretty damn good teams out west. But doing that is going to take a lot out of you. And doing that often requires guys to play way above their pay grade. And they did. And the Celtics said, hey, come back to this place we call Earth because –
about to teach you a lesson.
No disrespect, Derek Jones, but you're not that guy.
Right.
DJ, the reason why you were let loose in Charlotte because they're rebuilding and you're not part of that process. Gafford, you were Porzingis' backup in Washington. You were the backup center.
Yep.
Now you're a starter. That tells you a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like you said, give them credit for getting there, but at the end of the day, the Celtics – we're the better team. Talent wins out in the NBA, or at least it's supposed to in most cases, and especially in a 7-game series. And I think we could all tell after game 1 that the Celtics were the much better team in this series and that it really had no business going any further than 5 games. So really it went the way we kind of thought it should go and how it would go. I mean, I have him in 5. I know John had him in 5. I know Amon had him in 5. I think you had him in 5 or 6. 5. There you go. 5. So everyone here 5.
And it would have. I wonder would it have been a sweep had Porzingis been 100% healthy, or at least moderately.
Oh, I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, that game 4 was a wild one. That ends up being a gentleman's sweep, which happens. Dallas avoided the embarrassment.
Yeah. They saved face by getting that one win.
That's it.
Otherwise, they got their ass kicked.
But when it comes to what the Celtics did, you got to respect. You got to respect them. And this is why I said high haters, because I already know what's going to happen. And Embiid already hinted to it. Players were hurt. Players were hurt on the team.
It happens every playoff.
So the Celtics, it does. The Celtics already know that they're going to have to go out there next year and prove themselves all over again.
What pisses me off about that whole premise, though. Golden State, when they won their first championship, had the same crap happen. They played teams that had at least one starter hurt in every single series.
Yeah.
And yet we don't talk about that. And the reason why, because they went on to win 4 championships. That's the only way to shut that kind of nonsense up. You have to do it over and over. And Jason Kirk alluded to that. People are going to just automatically say, the Jays are great working together. They can do it. And you got to do it 2, 3, 4 more times before people are going to be comfortable saying, okay, you're right. We have no argument against their greatness because they keep winning championships.
But you know what, though, Sherrod? That might end up being a good thing because you know how hard it is not only to win once, but to win
it's
again.
Hard to repeat.
It's back to back, right? I mean, talk to Denver. I mean, all those extra games that you have to play. You got to get the target on your back. You've got to find motivation now, right? That's motivation right there. Guess what? You just won a title, and tomorrow or the next day, you're still going to be disrespected. People are still going to look at you and say, nah, that doesn't count or whatever, which is BS, let's be honest, but it's still going to happen because that's what we do.
When I talk to players who won championships and we talk about just that following season, the one thing that they said that they never really anticipated was kind of the subconscious reality that once the playoffs start, you can be the last team standing.
Right.
But you got to take the step to prepare yourself to be that team. And sometimes when you win a championship, you don't do that. Sometimes you are comfortable with just going through the motions, thinking that, once the playoffs roll around, we'll just flip a switch and we'll be great. And that's not how this hockey goes. That's why it's so hard. That's why a team like Denver, they had a solid regular season, but they weren't able to put enough distance and, frankly, grow enough in the regular season to withstand the postseason and some of the hard times that they went through.
And
I don't know about the Celtics.
Listen, no one's going to argue that the West wasn't more competitive than the East. No one's going to argue that. Right. But Celtics don't pick the schedule. Right. And to their credit, they beat the shit out of everybody that they played against. It wasn't like they squeaked out these series.
And they played those teams during the regular season and had a pretty damn good record against most of them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it sucks. It sucks to suck if you're one of those teams. Sorry.
Sherrod.
Part of winning a championship is being available and being healthy. That's part of it. What's up,
Sherrod? You saw this in Detroit, right? You saw Detroit win, and what was the
saw Boston win too?
The celebration. No, did you see a Celtics championship? Were you here? No,
I came a year.
Oh, you came a year after. Yeah. Oh, my bad.
So give me the contrast and comparison of Detroit's crowd craziness versus this.
Well, the Detroit situation was very different because they were the underdog. I mean, remember that Lakers team had the usual Kobe, Shaq. They also had Karl Malone, Gary Payton at the end of their careers. So they were a very star-studded team that was expected to just steamroll over the Pistons. But Ben Wallace, I've never seen anyone defend Shaquille O'Neal as well as Ben Wallace did over a stretch of period. Rasheed Wallace was in probably the best shape of his basketball life. Chauncey Billups
does a lot.
And remember that 04 team, the NBA rules as far as how you could defend changed after that because Lindsey Hunter, Mike James, both spent a hot minute in Boston. They were able to be much more physical, and that was one of those things where the league said, no, we can't have this happen again. And so that created more freedom of movement for players after that team won the title. But the biggest difference is that the Celtics fan base, this is what they expected. They expected when the last game was played that it would be a celebratory, victorious moment in Boston. The Pistons, it was kind of cool getting to the finals. And then after they won a couple games, it's like, well, shit, let's just win this thing. And they did that. They won it in 5 games just like the Celtics did.
I can tell you one big difference.
Similarities?
Sherrod, one big difference here. The big difference might be you didn't have a hard hat in Detroit.
You're
That's
right.
true.
You're right.
That is true. Give me a hit. Give me a hit, bro.
Let's go, Jimmy.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
go.
I don't even feel it. I don't even feel it. It feels great, man. I'm telling you, these things are legit. If Derek White was wearing one tonight, guess what?
He would have
He
his
would have his
set of
full teeth. If he was out there playing with a hard hat like he should have been, he'd be fine right now.
He should be the honorary hard hat captain because
I
he
think
takes more licks than any.
He had a nice block tonight too. Yeah, he.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
Hard hat a lot.
Yeah.
we
Did you
can hear
guys talk about?
Some guys walked
just
in a couple
hold-
times and being like,
Hold on, guys.
"You're gonna."
1 second. Just trying to acknowledge the super chats, which Jimmy yells at me for doing, but for not doing. But B Tony, thanks for the awesome year of coverage, fellas. Banner 18, thank you very much, guys, and thank you to everybody who's contributed so
Thank
far.
you, guys.
Nick, jump back in. You can ask your question
Yeah,
here. I just wanted one of the
no.
good B Tony Vicente.
Did you guys discuss the MVP? John, I thought that would be your number one topic.
No, it's my literally number 100 topic. I could not care less about who wins the MVP. I find it to be the dumbest. But
the one who did, John. But the way it went
doesn't
down.
matter. Like the when we were talking Eastern Conference Finals MVP, I was like, who remember who won it last year? Go ahead. Who won it last year? I have no idea. It doesn't matter.
I didn't much.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler.
So,
But you know what? The one point that Jimmy made about this earlier, and I think it's a really good point, is that unlike most teams, there's usually one or two guys, and you're like, oh yeah, it's either him or him. But the Celtics had like 4 guys at one point who you could make a legitimate case, and it speaks to how good they are. The fact that
So true.
you really can't lock in on 1 or 2 guys and expect if we just limit those 2 guys, we're going to win. I mean, Tatum, I thought for many stretches throughout the postseason was not very good.
No.
And the Celtics were still winning by 10, 15, 20 points because other guys stepped up. And, to John's point, you're right. The actual naming of the MVP is irrelevant. To me, more important is the fact that you got a roster where you can't lock in on 1 or 2 guys and expect to beat them. For Dallas, if Luka and Kyrie have a bad game, you're winning on a bad night by 15. If Tatum and Brown struggle, you still might lose by 7 or 8 points if Derek White gets a goal or Sam Hauser off the bench, what have you.
yeah. Speaking of struggle, you guys want to hear some Luka tears?
Yes,
please.
Yes.
And again, he rebounded to have a decent stat line, but honestly, they made it really difficult on him, and him not being able to hit a 3 here, I think, really killed them. But here's Luka tears.
Luka, can you put your feelings into words? Obviously, tough loss, but you guys really had a great season, and I know it's not easy to think about right now, but just what's going through your head right now?
Nothing. Said we lost. Not specific.
Luka.
Now that the series is over, how much were you hurting? It doesn't matter if I was hurt. How much was I hurt? I was out there, tried to play, but I didn't do enough.
Go Tim in the front.
I missed some of that, but he kind of played like that all series. That was just the vibe I got from Luka from game 1 on.
Well, that's his game. I mean, there has never been a shot that he's missed where he didn't get fouled.
Right.
The shot. And he lets the referees know it every single time. I mean, we talk about Tatum. Luka is 1,000 times worse than Tatum when it comes to the demonstrative. I can't believe you missed that foul call. No. Luka was out there, and here's the thing. Even if he wasn't 100%, he still was impactful. I mean, he's a hell of a player. Anyone who doesn't think he's a top 2, top 3 player, you are fooling no one but yourself. And he showed what he could do when he's locked in defensively. He's not a great defender, but he doesn't suck nearly as bad as he looked throughout the course of this postseason. If there's one thing that if I'm the Dallas Mavericks, I'm going to do a Luka, I'm going to get him a legitimate off-season trainer because his ass needs to be in better shape. That to me, if there's one thing he needs, that to me is what's going to keep him from winning a championship. His conditioning.
And this probably was a wake up. Maybe it was a wake up call. I don't know if it was, but it should have been because it's a whole nother level when you get up to this stage of the.
Yeah, and again, if you want to talk about the Celtics and in that facet, I mean, you see anybody get tired? I mean,
they're all ripped.
The amount of effort they gave.
Drew Holiday isn't ready.
Holiday, White, Horford in peak condition at 38. You think that doesn't? Of course, that matters. I mean, that's a big deal. They knew just simply like I just keep leaning on this guy until he gives up. And guys, if anyone asks you how long you're going to be up there, you say all night because this is what this is and this is our media spot. So do not.
Hold on one sec. I'm not going anywhere. Hold on one second.
I'm putting up Jason Tatum here, walking down the hallway. Check out Tatum.
I love you, dog. That's what I'm talking about.
John, we do have to move.
Okay.
Let's go, Russ. We did it. Hey, Austin.
Some good stuff from those guys celebrating in the hallway. Good stuff. Josue Pavon sending in that video from the bowels of the TD Garden. Jimmy and Sherrod may or may not have been arrested. So we're gonna get to them in a little bit. They're gonna move on and try to relocate. I believe Amit, if you're hearing this, Sherrod and Jimmy might need you to bail them out or to move their live shot, as it were. Let's move back. We want to hear from, again, this was a big storyline, Nick. We talked about this on the way in. Kyrie and getting in his head, and not only was he ineffective, he was borderline invisible at times. I kind of forgot that he was there. They weren't going through him. He wasn't assertive. He disappeared for big chunks of time. They really made things difficult on him. And again, he's going to every once in a while do something really fancy and make a tricky shot or two. But for the most part, they kept him in check. And this was his third real clunker at TD Garden in this series. And we said that, third real clunker, period. I take that. Yeah, he had one good game.
One good game in Dallas. Yeah.
One really good game.
Yeah.
But we said it about them here beforehand was they have to win. They need both Luka and Kyrie to put up monster games to be competitive. And I didn't really believe that the Dallas bench could repeat what it did last time. But the amount of talking that Kyrie did and getting it in his head, and here's Kyrie after the game talking about it again. However he wants to spin the narrative, I think it's giving the Celtics credit probably for his mentorship.
Yeah, of course.
Checked out for the last time. You hug a lot of your old teammates, the other guys on the Celtics. As you're walking back to the bench there, what's going through your mind? And obviously at the end of what was a pretty emotional series for you.
Yeah, it was emotional anyway. Every series was emotional, just because I was just uncertain on how it was going to go and how we were going to respond to a little bit of adversity. We finally ran into a team where, they beat us fair and square, and we weren't able to respond to a lot of their runs, and we weren't able to execute at a high level. So when I was shaking everybody's hands, that was more of a sign of respect for their journey. They've been through an incredible 5-year span of going to game sevens or losing in the finals. So they know what this bitter feeling feels like, being up here and answering questions about what this next year holds. And I think they used everything as motivation. They were healthy, and they really kept their head down and weren't paying attention to any of the personal accolades or individual accolades. I think
that's
they
because
just
you're
came
gone
together as a team and we're okay with each person being great in their role. Did JB win Finals MVP? Yeah, that was big time.
My guy.
I think
my guy.
He should have split.
Right.
Those two guys in particular have, almost been like students and as well now becoming teachers in their own right. So to see them accomplish that, I'm really proud.
Students.
You know, and also
I'm
extremely
going to
motivated
react
to get back to this position in the next few years with my guys and be able to win this thing.
That was. I just want
Students.
to point out. First off, students. I don't want to get it. I do want
Obi
to. I don't want
Kyrie Kenobi.
I do want to point out two things. One, I don't actually care enough to get deeply into this. We'll just spend a little bit of time on it. Number two,
John, give
that
me my time here
well,
because I
I'll
have
let
not
you
had
boom.
a chance one
That
series.
was all. Just so everyone knows, one sentence and one breath. It's unreal how he can do that. But anyway, go ahead, Nick.
So, Obi Kyrie Kenobi, you know, being he mentored all our guys because now they're winning. He fucking set this franchise back at least 2 years. That guy is smug. He deserved every boo he got. I was as a fan / more fan side than media. I was very, very proud of the fans here for booing him because they got in his head. I can now close the door on Kyrie Irving because he blocked me. I'm on the block list. That's how much, you know, I would go at him. And I just, I don't hate anybody, but I can't fucking stand that guy. Now he's gone. We could wash our hands of him. But let me tell you something. He only taught the Jays how to be difficult. I mean, I think he set them back to a degree being here with the things that he said and did. So I'm glad he's gone. I'm so glad we're in his head as we are. And I don't need to be angry with him anymore because, you know, we beat him and the Celtics beat him. And that's that. Yeah, man. That's my Kyrie take.
The funny thing is, and Judah is right, and this is why I don't spend a ton of time on Kyrie, is because I don't need validation to know that most of what he says is nonsense. I think he's a person who really needs the narrative to be what he wants it to be, and that's why he talks so much, because he really wants to set the narrative on whatever it is that he's talking about here. That's fine.
But John, wait a minute, John.
Hold on, let me finish the sentence. Just Judah points out here, because I was putting up this comment. The fans hated him, the players did not. Most of those guys say, yeah, you know, we hit some bumps in the road, but we were happy, you know, like we like Kyrie. They respect him. They like him. Players actually like him. So
Cool.
This really is just fan rage, boomer rage sort of stuff. But the most important thing, Nick, is getting in his head, which you guys did, whether you guys came to the game or not, or just put stuff into the ether through social media or whatever. He heard all of it. And
Every bit
it affected him. And so you get an assist for that because it absolutely made a difference. Derek White, by the way, talking about making a difference. Derek White left half of his face on the court tonight. Okay.
And then hit a three.
It's what he did. He left half of his court. He did. There's so many things you can count on Derek White to do. And one of them is hit one ridiculous bailout three after a horrible possession when somebody just tosses him a grenade with no time left on the shot clock. And he just flips it up and goes. Here is Derek White talking at the podium after the game.
Second row on your right.
Derek, when this team traded for you 2 years ago, they were going through a rough patch at the start of the season. To go from there to now, I know you just reflected on being a champion, but like that journey with this group of guys, like what has that process meant? They've talked a lot about instilling confidence in you. You've talked about it too, like just that journey. What has it been like?
At the moment I got traded, I would say disappointed, but like, I mean, you're in San Antonio, like that's all I knew. But such a blessing to be a part of this roster. They just drive me in so many different ways from top to bottom. I'm just so thankful and grateful for each and every one of them. And I mean, they made me a better player, made me a better person, and the city of Boston, everything has just been amazing for me.
Well, that sounds to me like a guy ready to take a little bit of a hometown discount and re-sign here. That's just the way I view it. But, you know, Nick, are you eating and leaving your microphone down? That's okay.
If I'm him, I don't know that I would take a hometown discount, but I think you're right. It sounds that way.
Well, the Celtics can only extend him by so much, so he's either going to take like a below market deal at $27 million, or you know, go to free agency and get paid, and that's all they have. And you know, that he might do it. Jimmy, Sherrod, give me a thumbs up when you guys are good to go. I know you relocated up there. They're good. I'm going to bring these guys back in here and throw them in here. into the big screen. Yes, the good news is
We're
the
back,
hard hats are intact.
Hard hats made
Yep.
it. Hard hats made it.
Let's get it.
We got booted
We
from
back.
one room, but they can't kick us out of the whole garden.
We just keep coming.
Where are you
Little
right
trick.
now?
We're going to
We
win.
just go from room to room to room. We'll be here all damn night, as just like John said. Spent too many nights here after losses to leave early
Yeah.
after
Facts.
a night
Facts.
after the ultimate win. So
That
I
is a
ain't
fact.
leaving. I ain't leaving.
Well, we should point out, Nick. I don't know if Nick said it while I was gone a little bit, but for Jimmy being at the Garden, I know you guys don't see him there a lot, but Jimmy's an OG, CLNS Media OG, where he and Nick Gelso and some other guy, I can't remember his name, used to do stuff at the Garden all the time after games.
That was a low blow.
And they were very much CLNS Media before I even discovered who they were and what they were doing. And I'm like, oh,
Right.
I know Jimmy. Jimmy's that guy.
Yeah. John
who,
sent me a text.
Yeah, but Jimmy was
John
the guy
slid in.
because Jimmy and I worked together at NBC Sports Boston. I'm like, Jimmy's on the court doing Jimmy things. I love that. So he's always been doing that. So yeah, Jimmy, it may look new to you, but this is actually old school with Jimmy down there.
Old school. Having
no
Jimmy
thing.
down there, having Jimmy there tonight brought back good memories. Dude, I used to follow you around like you were training me. I was like a puppy dog. Where's Jimmy? I didn't know
I did
where
a
to
horrible
go, what
job,
to do.
apparently.
Clearly, because I've quit since then. But now you're back, and we're both
You
here.
broke him,
and-
Jimmy. You broke him.
I can't
good to be
believe
back.
Sherrod
You know what, I
Blakely
think-
is here. John, I mean, Sherrod,
So-
to have Sherrod
so-
on this broadcast is unbelievable. Sherrod, to have you part of our family now, incredible. I'm going to start crying, guys. I cried in
It's-
08. I'm going to start crying.
It's a little surreal. I'm standing next to Sherrod. We both got the hard hats on. I remember when I was working the desk at NBC, and he was, he was doing the thing. I was taking his knowledge. I was posting it up on the computer there for everyone to read. And then John was doing the TV stuff, and now here we are, all these years later.
Clearly, I did not do a good enough job.
The TV stuff.
Yeah.
I got tired of letting you guys do all the talking, so I decided to jump in
But
front
you know
of the
what?
microphone a little
Now
bit.
we got more damn press passes than any other media outlet probably in New England right now. So
Don't tell anybody.
doing something right here.
I think they just lost count. We got
can say it
seven. We got 7 guys here plus Sherrod out there doing work. Like I said, we will get Bobby Manning on here at some point. I told him to bring a poncho. I don't know if he did. You're supposed to wear a poncho and goggles in the locker room.
Yeah.
So you're
Poncho
gonna get,
Bobby, I said it would have went viral.
It would have went
get-
viral.
We got Buck.
No,
we could
it
have started
wasn't.
selling ponchos.
It
man.
was
Damn
not
Bobby.
KOC who I was throwing shade at. I
Not
would never do that.
KOC.
KOC is also an NBC guy who was working at the
And a
copy desk
CLNS guy.
before the Ringer scooped him up. So I have nothing but deep affinity for
Kevin's a great man.
For KOC. He joined us the other
We
day.
like
No,
everybody.
love
We have no
Kevin. We
no
told
issues.
Bobby to get a poncho, and he's gonna bring his wet puppy ass onto the show here, all drenched. And again,
Did he get soaked? Did he get a Luke shower?
I hope so.
In the locker room, he will.
Yeah, he's got that face where if you just see Bobby walking, you're just gonna spray him. Let's be real. He's an easy target.
she
Yeah,
got
there
me
he
in
is.
Detroit.
I'm getting him. Boom, done.
Yeah, she got me in Detroit.
Did he? Yeah, probably with a Bud Light.
Cornette got Bobby in the locker room tonight.
That's Bobby's
And then give him
dream,
a limit square
right?
afterwards.
They needed a
Good for
lot.
Bobby. Good for Bobby. Good for Josue. Those guys been covering the team for a long season or number of years. So
I'm happy for Bobby.
good for
at this
them.
moment, though.
Yeah,
It's cool covering
I
team
told
that
Bobby. I was sitting next to Bobby. I said, Bobby, smile, man.
Enjoy
Like,
this.
don't be so serious. Like, take a look
Yeah.
around, take it all
Anyway,
in.
We've walked.
Yeah,
we've
Bobby.
done we've done our little walk down memory lane. We are waiting to hear from some of the guys in the locker room. We will get some of that on the show as well. I promise you that is going to happen. Real quick, while we have you here as a captive audience, we want to, of course, tell you about a couple of our sponsors. Prize Picks. NBA season's over, but you can still get in on the action with a lot of your favorite sports, including the WNBA, America's #1 fantasy app. All you do is pick anywhere from 2 to 6 players, pick any number of stats, more or less. You can turn $10 into $1,000 just like that. So all you have to do is go in, download the app Prize Picks, Use that promo code CLNS for a $100 first deposit match, up to $100, I should say. Once again, download the app, promo code CLNS, a deposit match up to $100. And game time. Hey, I don't know if you guys did it. I know many of you did. We were notified by several fans who did use the game time app. I'm glad you made it into the Garden tonight to witness the Celtics win Banner 18. But game time is your number one destination to get all of your tickets. And again, NBA is gone here, but you're going to want it heading into football season, heading into next season as well, and a really hot summer concert season as well. You can get all your tickets there. Tickets here on the Game Time app go down the closer you get to game time, showtime, whatever it is. It's always going to know regionally what's closest to you and what the hot tickets are. It gives you panoramic views from your seat. There's great discount deals, late flash deals. So you just got to keep checking that app. It really is the best deal out there. And if you will make that deal even better for you, if you download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Once again, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off. Now, guys,
John,
as far as
hit him with the merch one more time.
Hit him with the merch. Hit him with the merch
one more time. We got some Banner 18 merch. We
I
got
know
Banner
you like
18
to
merch.
Listen, I know you stack your supplements with beef livers or whatever it was. I don't stack my ads with my merch.
Remember when I used to stack AG1 with my beef order?
There it is, baby.
All right, Jimmy, I threw it up there. But Jimmy's T-shirt, and again,
just a quick one. Available now at
one.
shop.clnsmedia.com. Banner 18 for 20% off. You got to type in that promo code. We don't have it there, but that's true. Banner 18 for 20% off. Get your T-shirts. Get your limited edition hard hats. Once those are gone, they're gone.
We got the green
Those
ones,
clean
we got
ones.
the white ones.
Those white ones are clean, man.
Sharp.
Yeah, they are. And it says Banner 18 on the side. That makes it literally a Banner 18 edition hard hat. We're gonna start making these like
Limited.
sneakers. You know, we got this is the hard hat one, like TE title edition. You know what I mean? Like this is the one TE right now.
Okay.
Next year it'll be the 2. We'll see what we can.
2.0.
We'll see what we whip up in the lab.
The 2.0.
We'll see what we whip up in the lab. But these things are gonna be, you know, the green stays, but the limited editions are going to be running its course. So if you like how it looks, don't sleep on it, because once it's gone, it's gone.
We might even want to create a city edition. Maybe go to a black one.
Ooh. Don't tell them we're going black, because then they're not going to buy. I got to get the white ones out first. I like that idea though, Sherrod. I like that idea. The black.
That's
maybe
next
for next
finals.
year. That's maybe next season. Yeah. I got to save some of them for next year. This is supposed to be a dynasty, so I can't unleash all the colors in the first year.
Jimmy, what do you think about a T-shirt holiday weekend? It's a holiday weekend.
Yeah, Nick,
With
just
a
leave the merch
silhouette
to
of
me.
Drew
Nick.
Holiday.
Leave the merch to
Okay.
me, Nick.
Jim's
All
like,
right.
okay.
Yeah, that's enough merch
All
talk.
right,
You're right.
back to basketball and back to Al Horford. He had the dubious distinction of being one of the losingest guys who was such a winner in life and in his career, but he never won a championship. And I can't remember, was it second to Karl Malone? I don't remember the exact number, but it was a dubious
Never to be talked of again.
It was a dubious distinction and one that he didn't necessarily want to be part of. And a lot of people had this kind of win it for Al mentality. And Horford came back in a big way tonight, and he played a really big role. Again, those stats aren't going to absolutely pop off the page, but you could see it. And again, we said this in the pregame too, Sherrod. You know, he was well rested. He knew he had to carry the load. The Celtics got what they needed out of Kristaps Porzingis to give Al enough juice, and you knew where they were going with it in that fourth quarter. They brought him out, and then they brought all the starters back in to wrap this thing up, bring home Banner 18 with 7 minutes to go. So Horford was absolutely integral in tonight's plan, but the entire finals run, particularly when Porzingis went out. He wasn't the sixth man anymore. He was now a starter and essential to what the Celtics were doing here. Let's bring Al Horford here from the podium on to the stage to listen to what he had to say after the game.
I'm so grateful. I know I've said it before, but it's
Thank you, Melanie.
Glory to the Lord for me, for putting me in this position. It's been a lot of years. I don't think it's sunk in yet. You know, I'm going through emotions right now, but I don't feel like it's over. This is an unbelievable feeling. Yeah, the confetti, everything's going on, but it just hasn't hit me yet. I never forget what Danny Ainge told me in that meeting. He said, you can win championships in many places, but there's nothing like winning in Boston and nothing like winning as a Celtic. and that stuck with me from that meeting. And I was like, man, like I'm trying to be great, and that's what I want. And the fact that it has happened. JT, JB stepping up in a big way and leading us. It's special.
Jay, standing in the back.
Yeah,
Ah!
that was awesome.
That was great. Any guy,
I gotta say, he's one guy you have to be happy for. And
say it.
on top of that, oh, am I muted? No. On
No,
top of
thank you,
that,
thank you, Mike. I'm just
we all
throwing out
need
some
to give-
thank yous here as the super chats come in, so don't
Yeah.
mind me. Thank you, Mike.
No.
Yeah.
I also think that we need to give Danny Ainge a little credit for assembling so much of this team. And Al just did that. That was good to hear. And I saw John's face. I don't care. Give Danny Ainge a little credit. But Al Horford, man, I couldn't have been more happy for him. And he did. I mean, if you think about it, it was like full circle, because if it wasn't for him, the Celtics wouldn't have gone as far as they did with Kristaps Porzingis getting injured. So owing Al a ton at 38 years old to be able to contribute the way he has and just be such a professional and such a mentor, Kyrie Kenobi can talk about mentoring Jalen and Jason all he wants. But the truth is, I think we all know Al Horford's been the biggest mentor to all these guys, the younger guys on the team.
Yeah.
So, Uncle Al.
No doubt about that.
No, Al's great, and everybody knows it. But I mean, you have to, not to discredit anything Danny did, because Danny brought in Tatum, brought in Brown, manipulated the draft to be able to get that. Got the core that also included Marcus Smart, which then turns into Kristaps Porzingis. So obviously the baseline is here, but you have to give Brad Stevens credit for basically what we thought was being fired up into the GM role, which didn't make sense to a lot of people at the time, because nobody had any inclination that was something that Brad wanted to do. And I don't know that you can hit more home runs than Brad Stevens did in almost every single move that he made. Really remarkable, honestly, because you talk about the flipping of Horford for getting off of Kemba, even though it costs you a pick there. It's something that you had to do. We thought Horford was going to come in here and that was 3 years ago, play 18 minutes a night, kind of on the back nine. He hadn't really played the year before. I thought that was a low impact move, not somebody who was going to come in here and be a starter and a core member of your team and a core member of a championship team. Then you talk about the Derek White deal, and obviously the big swings this year to turn this roster into, what was essentially a cheat code. And that's what kills me about the perception of this team, how people are going to be like, you didn't beat anybody and this and that. You know what? You can't do both things. You can't cry that basically they got gifted Porzingis and Holiday and then also say that they weren't that good. They were, and you knew it, and you were pissed off about it, and you thought it was unfair. And that's truly how you felt about this team being assembled. People looked for opportunities to knock them down a little bit here through the East, because the East did suck a little bit in terms of how the playoffs, but you have like Embiid out there crying like he did. I thought that was pathetic. So this was it's really hard to assemble a team with so much veteran talent when people so uniquely good at their particular jobs, who try hard and who cared about winning as they did here. So I mean, it wasn't, as we said the other day, just the better team. They were the best team, and they were the best team all year, and I think everybody knew it.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes when you're looking at executives, it's not necessarily an executive is bad, but sometimes another executive is a better fit.
Mm-hmm.
You see it happen all the time in coaching. When I was in Detroit, Rick Carlisle did a hell of a job there, but they had a chance to get Larry Brown, who did an even better job and won a chip his first year. You look at Danny Ainge, did a hell of a job putting together some really, really good Celtics team. The 08 team that won a title, that was Danny obviously had a big part of that. But when you look at this championship caliber team, yes, he was able to, position them to get Tatum and Brown, but it was the addition of Drew Holiday, the addition of Porzingis that put this team over the top. And Brad was able to do that. And you look at the assets that he used, he didn't have to touch his core at all.
Right.
In fact, what he did was he got guys on the peripheral, and Marcus Smart was a borderline core guy, but you added a even larger piece to your core by moving guys on. And Brad deserves a lot of the credit cake for what this team was able to do, him and Joe Mazzulla. But obviously, at the end of the day, players will get the largest share of that. but you cannot diminish or just look past what Brad was able to do with this roster, and obviously what Joe was able to do as a coach of this roster.
Oh, you just said Joe. John, have we mentioned Joe yet?
So it's not fair that we haven't, and I think everyone's going to have to eat some here. So first, I want everybody in the chat who, during the course of the year, said they will never win because of Joe, to maybe go ahead and tell us how you feel now.
Should we go apology cam?
I am not going to be on a damn apology cam to Joe Mazzulla because I thought he was going to be better all year long. I thought he was just going to keep getting better.
I think Mazzulla coached his ass off in these finals.
He absolutely did.
I think he had a terrific game plan. I think he had a good sense of the moment. I think he knew when they were deviating from that plan. I think he made a lot of the right moves and a lot of the right rotations. And yeah, can you question something here or there? Yeah, you can't be perfect, but he absolutely, he attacked. He knew, it was like I said, it's almost Belichickian in the sense that if you do this, we can't lose. And that's kind of the what he set forth, the plan that he set forth here. And when the Mavs would make a little bit of a tweak, he would tweak back a little bit. Okay, they're trying to take this away. We can exploit it by doing this. He knew he had matchups. He knew he could exploit different things that the Mavericks were doing. He did it all series long. He was phenomenal. And you could see as it got deeper and deeper into the playoffs, the idea of, and thank you, the Nick Batch, cheers to a winning season. Thank you so much for the super chats. Honestly, everybody, we really do appreciate it. It's overwhelming.
Thanks, guys.
But
I'm watching this show back tomorrow. I'll be able to see.
But he was, you know, during the course of the season, a lot of times he'd be like, why isn't Joe stopping this and telling them what to do or doing this thing? And he preached like learning, you know, and learning through failure and this and that. But when it got to the playoffs, he was jacked up and locked in, possession to possession, up, talking, jumping in, calling a timeout as soon as it wasn't just to stop runs. As soon as he didn't like something, I hated that possession.
Right.
Today, great example of just a good Mazzulla moment. They went small for a little bit there in that second quarter, and Gafford gets back-to-back dunks on Tatum. After the first possession, Joe, who had just taken Horford out of the game, was like, nope, I hate this bad idea, and he brought him back up to the scorer's table to get him back in. So immediately recognized, nope, not going to work. Don't like it. Quick adjustments. He did it all series long. He was awesome. And honestly, like, look, we give Joe a lot of crap because he's weird, and I think he's going to forever be that kind of weird. And it's going to be funny because it makes it amusing and it's fun for us to talk about.
Now he kind of can be weird.
But now he can be. Now he can be. Now he's earned it. But I don't think anybody questions
all the great
basketball.
ones are a little weird.
Yeah. I don't think anyone questions his basketball acumen. I think he is very much a savant. He really, really, really understands and knows what he's trying to do here. Jimmy, you're leaning out of the shot to the right. If you and Sherrod could scooch over a tad to the left, both of you, you'll be in so much better shape. Sherrod, half a step.
Slide over a touch. He said slide over half.
Okay.
No, the other way.
No. The other way, Sherrod, and then hug. And then I want you guys to hug.
You want me to hug him?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to.
No.
Yeah.
No, the thing, there were so many little things that the Celtics did better in Game 5 that just completely go under the radar. Like, remember, Tatum was absolutely torching Dallas with the drive and kick game. And this game, it was more of the drive and dish to Drew Holiday rolling along the baseline. They weren't looking for him to drive and kick it to a three-point shooter. They were just looking for him to drive and find someone cutting to the basket or moving without the ball. And little things like that just kind of don't really get a lot of attention. But then you look up and see Tatum's got damn near 10 assists in the first half.
Right.
And almost none of those were on, guys making threes. Little things like that, again, it speaks to how Joe has figured out how to just be a better coach.
Yeah. And it takes a little time. He has to grow in you a little bit. And I think, again, people were skeptical for a lot of reasons, and not so much Joe's fault, but the way he came about as being the head coach, Sherrod. I mean, that was not that was a unique situation to put it lightly, right?
Oh, yeah.
A week before the season starts, he kind of gets thrust into this role here. And there was a lot of reasons to doubt, like, who's this guy? He kind of came out of nowhere, young guy.
Back row Joe.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. And so he had to, change a lot of people's minds. And I don't think he really cared to, but over time, just by being who he was, the players had already come to like him to begin with. What's up?
We're sneaking in to see if I can get
could have gone to anybody. It could have gone to Jason.
Sounds like Jalen.
Jalen Brown here. We're getting a little bit of audio.
The
Ahmet,
MVP.
Ahmet positioned himself in the front row here. A little shaky, but we
How
can
he
handle it.
approached not just this series or the finals, but just the playoffs in general. And we did it together as a team. And that was the most important thing.
Chris, you're on the left side, third row. Jalen, you're very intentional both now and earlier, making sure that you acknowledged JT. Why is that important to you? And also, you reflected a lot during the playoffs about your journey and what you heard from people. And what does this mean to you in that context as well?
Just our growth together. We've been through a lot. We've been together for 7 years.
I'm going to.
We've been through a lot. Losses, expectations, the media. Have said all different types of things. We can't play together. We were never gonna win. We heard it all. But we just blocked it out, and we just kept going. I trusted him. He trusted me, and we did it together. So, to get to this point, and share that experience with JT is just awesome. I can't, it's just amazing. It feels great.
Same row. Let's go.
Jalen, how does it feel to silence doubters after last year against the Miami Heat, the way you guys lost? There was a lot of doubt about the team, maybe even about your game. You didn't make an All-NBA team this year, and now you win the Eastern Conference Final MVP. You're an NBA champion. You're an MVP of the finals. Do you feel at all vindicated?
If you would have asked me that maybe a year ago, I probably would say yeah. Just at the point that I got to right now, it feels great, but any of the personal awards, it is what it is. The doubters, they may be quieted now, but they'll be back. They'll probably be back next year with something else to say. So just embrace that moment the same and get after it yet again.
On your right, Gary, third row.
Gary Rogers, Boston Globe. From the night you were drafted, and a lot of Celtic fans had not heard of you coming out of Cal. Like they just had, it was kind of this unknown.
Go Bears.
From that journey to being doubted, all of what they said coming out of college, and then transformation of the game, then signing the contract this summer, and all of what you heard, can you kind of encapsulate winning Eastern Conference and Finals MVP and being on top of the world?
I can't. I absolutely can't, man. Just the story, the journey is awesome. Just being drafted here in Boston. A lot of the people probably didn't watch me play out in the Pac-12 at Cal. So, it led to a lot of people, feeling a way about that. And, I just came in and kept my head down and told myself I'm going to keep working. And, to be here in this moment now, through all the years, through all the.
All right, there you have it.
You guys take a little break. Are you guys all right? You look tuckered out.
We've been staying over. Jalen has that soothing sound.
We're just taking it all in,
Yeah.
Not all of us have been sitting for the last 2 hours. It's all good though.
Oh, jeez.
No, good. No, it's.
Why don't you have a stool?
For those of us who listen, for those of us who've been here as long as Jalen has been here, it really is amazing to see how far he has come. This is a guy that again got booed when he was drafted, which is something that you go back, you look through the years. I mean, guys taken in the top 3, that never happens.
Nah.
And for him to just kind of embrace, that role. I remember his first NBA start was at Cleveland against LeBron James, and I remember talking to him before the game, and he didn't seem like this wide-eyed young kid who's about to go against one of the GOATs of the game. He was just like, I'm just going to go out there and do what I do.
Right.
And so, again, he's carried himself with a level of maturity throughout his time in Boston that I think prepared him for this moment. The fact that the opportunity to be great on the grandest of stages, he was ready for that. And 2 years ago, he wasn't. I think 2 years ago, I think he was trying to prove himself. I think he was trying to validate himself as a great player.
Right.
But on this particular stage, that didn't matter. It was about winning the series, proving that you and Jason and this team were the best thing going. And he did a great job of that, and certainly was the best player throughout the course of the playoffs.
I think he finally was able to stop letting it bother him that people didn't see him the way he saw himself.
Right.
You know, and he never stopped trying to prove people wrong or prove himself right, but he stopped letting it negatively affect him to the point where it would affect his game. Yeah. He played more freely out there. He trusted his game. He got to his spots. He's able to turn up the intensity, but he's also at the same time able to play even-keeled a little bit more, level-headed, not let bad play spiral into the next bad play, not let a bad performance impact the next performance. Let's say the next game, not let somebody said get to him in a bad way. He got to the point where he just said F it. I'm just gonna go be me. I'm gonna do my thing, unapologetically. Jaylen Brown, and we saw the result of that. Eastern Conference Finals MVP, NBA Finals MVP, NBA champion, highest paid player in the NBA. I mean, it's kind of getting harder and harder for this guy to find reasons to stay motivated, but he will, because that and he does thrive off of that. Like, he will thrive off people being like, he didn't deserve the NBA Finals MVP. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's what he's been able to do, and to his credit, he turns it into a good thing. We've just seen it as he matures. He's able to sort of harness that in a way that he wasn't before.
Right, and that ability to harness is huge.
Yeah.
Because he plays with such energy, such passion, such fire. And sometimes, I thought earlier in his career, it would get a little out of hand.
Yeah.
But it's
reckless is probably a word, with the ball handling and such.
He's controlled chaos out there.
Yeah.
When you look at the things that he's able to do, and they needed that in order to get over the hump and bring home banner 18. Nick, you're about to say something?
I don't think years ago you would have heard him first sentence out of his mouth to be crediting Jason Tatum. And I don't know that if the roles were reversed with Tatum, and if he had won the MVP, you would have heard him crediting Brown years ago. But I think that we can all see now they're over that. They don't need to be best friends. They definitely are teammates that are they're a super duo. I mean, they play off each other, they need each other, and they've come a hell of a long way. I've got to tell you guys, the court is still jammed. Like, you can't see the.
We're looking at it.
I know, I am too. I'm sitting in Shams Sharania's seat. But
you're in 18?
Yeah. See me?
Where are you?
I don't
know where you are.
Right, I'm in like 18 or 19, like right next to the normal media section. They have like a 4-seat table here that
well, Nick, tell us when the court is starting to clear, because we want to do our quick Garden Report late night hit with everybody.
So, John, the security is left. So there's no security there.
Security is left, but there would be nowhere to go right now, because although maybe the corner opposite Jimmy, you see, there's definitely a corner we could probably huddle up in about 15-20 minutes maybe.
I think where there's a will, there's a way. We'll get Amit down there on the scene.
We'll figure it out. Amit will clear it out.
I gotta get my confetti, so I'll be down there.
I got you some, Jim.
I gotta get my confetti. Did you? You're what a guy.
I also found one of these. Figured I'd do this in honor of Bobby. All the hard work.
Did you get the bucket hat?
I didn't. It was in the office, and I had to bring a camera over. So I look like Gilligan, for crying out loud. No,
wow. I don't know if you're selling any of those.
Guys, real quick, we were talking about Tatum and Brown, and how Nick said they don't like each other, and it doesn't matter.
I did not
how
say
they,
that.
Nick's been saying that for years.
I did not say that.
That's what I heard.
We've been consistent on the show that that's not true.
Yeah.
Right.
It was like I said, I don't care about the MVP deeply, but people do, and that stuff matters. I mean, so look at someone like Cedric Maxwell being on a team with Larry Bird. He's still dining out on that for a while. I'm not saying he didn't have other accomplishments, but that's a big part of his. He is. That's a big part of his legacy and career. And Jaylen Brown has that now forever. Here's Tatum talking about Brown winning the MVP, and Brown did give a shout out immediately at the podium in the ceremony to Tatum, which I do think he recognized. Okay, I want to also say, like, JT is good. Tatum's been a little He absolutely said. He said my running mate or my partner in crime is what he called him, and he quickly gave it to him. But when Tatum's been asked about Brown, it's been interesting.
All
Let's hear
guys
Jimmy.
around me. All my teammates are
I
good.
can't wait. I can't wait to hear this. I can't wait.
When Jalen won the Finals MVP, the first thing he did was look at you and said, "We did this together." What did that mean to you?
First of all, congrats to him.
What?
Well deserved. Extremely happy for him. This
We all
was
deserve
a
it.
hell of an accomplishment. The main goal for us was to win a championship. We didn't care who got Finals MVP. I know that I need him through this journey, and he needs me. It was great to see him have that moment and share that moment with him. I'm extremely happy for him. Well deserved. That was big time. He earned that.
Wow.
Nice.
Damn.
That's what
He
the
got
people
through.
wanted to see.
He got there saying that.
That's all we wanted.
That's a great way to
He
put
got
it,
through.
Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy, can you guys turn down your light a tad? You're a little. Somebody just jump in there. Turn down your light just a little bit. It's coming in hot.
Jimmy's gonna do it himself.
No one else is gonna do it.
Great way
By
to
the way-
put it, Jimmy.
What did he say? I missed it, Jimmy.
Nothing. He got
All
through
right.
it.
Oh, he got through it.
Come back in, Jimmy. That should do it.
He got through it.
He got through it. He didn't die in the middle of it.
Pretty good stuff. Little bit more from Tatum while these guys fiddle around with things. Tatum talking about the general resiliency of the team, getting to this stage and being able to, obviously, win it all. Here we go.
You've talked a lot about Kobe Bryant as one of your idols and somebody you patted your game after and your motivation after.
Kobe.
Now, and once you finally win a championship, now that you can say, I know what it took, right? What did it actually take? Was there something from Kobe that you learned? Was it just something you learned on your own throughout this journey? What did it actually take to get over that hump?
Double in game 5.
It took
50 field goal attempts.
Took being relentless. It took, being on the other side of this and losing in the finals and being at literally the lowest point in a basketball career that you could be. To next year, to the following year, thinking that was going to be the time and come up short again. People have said it before, but coming up short and having failures makes this moment that much better. Because you know what it feels like to lose. You know what it feels like to be on the other side of this and be in the locker room and hearing the other team celebrate and having them celebrate on your home floor. Like, that was devastating. And now to elevate yourself in a space that all your favorite players are in. Right? Everybody that they consider greats or legends have won a championship.
Jimmy, we hear all of this.
The guys I looked up to won a championship, multiple championships.
Jimmy, we just hear you talking. Yeah.
So now I can like walk in those rooms and be a part of that.
There you go.
It's a hell of a feeling. This is more. I dreamed about what it would be like, but this is 10 times better.
He's trying to keep his emotions in check.
Yeah.
Honestly, great stuff. Great stuff from Tatum. And I want to say, I want to say something here. I think, we tease about some elements of it. He never gets. You never see the emotion come up. Sometimes, and you want him to be a little bit more of a vocal leader. What I will say, and I've always defended, and I think is the greatest misnomer and the greatest misconception of Jason Tatum, is this idea that he's hunting stats, which I've never thought. I just always thought that in his mind, he always thought that the greatest way that he could impact winning was to score. And this year, especially this playoffs where he struggled to score, you found out how much more he was doing and willing to do while winning. And it wasn't that altered my perception here. What I'll say is that's about as happy as we've seen him. That's an incredible amount of relief. You can almost see he's been wearing it on him for the past couple of years, that I didn't win. We didn't win. What did I not do that I could have done to help us win? And this I've never seen him like this. I mean,
No,
obviously,
me either.
you're never going to be happier than when you won an NBA championship. So it's not saying a lot, but like it looked like you could just see from every minute, from the second he stepped on the court to go get the trophy, when he went to the bench, the big hug with Joe, and all of that thing. It was just a release. Like we fucking did it, and you really do understand and get the sense that like it really is and always about winning. And I do think that's something people have totally wrong with that, with the idea that he's just interested in the MVP in the sense. I think he wanted the MVP. I think he would have been really happy if he won the MVP. That's not what he was playing this for. And that's I just want to kind of put that out there because I think people get that wrong a lot.
Yeah, I think it's natural to be a superstar player or be told you're a superstar player and then want to put up superstar numbers. But yeah, I would agree with you, John, and I think everybody on the show probably feels the same way that Tatum's a guy that he's wanted to win. And I said this earlier on this show is that if you're a Celtics player on this team, you probably didn't feel any relief all until the final buzzer tonight. Like when you win games when you're expected to win, it's not a celebration. It's more just like an exhale. Like, okay, we made it to the, we did what we were supposed to do, but we're expected to win. We have to keep winning. We have to keep winning. It's not like no expectations. Let's just go out there. And if we win, great. Let's party. It's like your obligation is to win. And so now that they've completed the task, they can celebrate. And that's what you kind of saw, or at least that you mentioned there, John, and the smile. And yeah, he's still choosing his words, carefully, and he's still Jason Tatum in the way he speaks. But you can just see a little bit of a difference in the way that it comes out. And I feel like that's probably from the top down. But certainly Tatum's a guy that he's had a ton of pressure put on him since he came into the league, justly or not. He's been close, but ultimately the knock on him and Brown is that, these guys can't win, or they can't win together, or they don't know what it takes, or they're never going to have the toughness or the attitude, or blah, blah, blah. You can go down the line. And the haters are still going to hate, but at the end of the day, they proved everybody wrong, or they proved those people wrong. There were still a lot of supporters, too. A lot of people, especially on this show, that watched, there are huge Tatum and Brown guys and that believed, and you got to give them all the credit in the world for sticking with their players, because there were points over the last few years where some people doubted if one of those guys needed to go or should go, or if Jaylen Brown should be extended with the max, or if he should be traded, and if Tatum could ever be the guy. And so, whether or not they have to go out and do this whole thing all over again next season is besides the point, because tonight, they're the best team in the world. They're the best, they can consider themselves the best players in the world, and nobody can say shit about it.
Well, but they will.
They will, but like, okay.
They will, but Jimmy's gonna just say,
"Hi, haters." Say hi, haters. Yeah, that's it. That's really.
Here's the thing.
People don't say that enough anymore. They just choose to go back and forth. Just say hi, haters.
To piggyback on that a little bit, because we did discuss this, Jaylen won the conference MVP, and Tatum, because of the shooting splits, and they still didn't end up great. At the end of the finals, he's sub 40 for the finals, and he caught a lot of flack for it. And, we were saying, when you have to explain why a guy's been good, you're already losing the argument, and that's kind of what's happening. Is he lost the battle of optics a little bit in terms of the national media, because he didn't look like he was taking over a game the way people are used to seeing people take over games, which is just to drop buckets. You see Luka score and you're like, man, he's tough, and you're not taking into account that he was a turnstile on defense or doing other things that were not helping his team, whereas Tatum was. But the stats are a little bit grisly when you look at the overall finals numbers. And again, here it is, 22 points, 38 steals. That's not like alpha dog sort of stuff that people expect. So there is a possibility that like Tatum's legacy was going to take a hit, win or lose here, because people would spin the narrative however they wanted to. But if he did lose, or if the Jays did lose with this team, with this path that they had against an inferior opponent, the Mavericks, the narrative surrounding this team would have been really ugly this offseason. So
my God.
That's definitely a pressure and a weight that they had to kind of know is like, we can't not win it here. And they did. And as Jimmy said, and as Nick said, there will still be guys who are going to come at them a little bit. I know a lot of people will complain about the quality of these finals. Yes, Jimmy.
I'll let you finish. I just wanted to say something.
No, I want you to say something.
Okay, no, I was going to say, I think some of that narrative that, how much of that was from national, how much of that was local, but at the same time, people are finding the Celtics just steamrolled the playoffs. I mean, there really wasn't much negative you could find from a team perspective. So you start to pick at players and you start to try to find something to talk about and criticize, but you couldn't criticize. And again, it goes back to the way that they won games this year. They played team basketball. Brad assembled a super team, essentially. I mean, the modern day version of one, not a super team in the sense where it's like three friends who think, hey, this would be fun to play together, even though they don't fit.
Exactly. It's an actual
he
team.
assembled a team, an actual team of players who can still play ball, fit each other's style, play tenacious.
They're so
on
good.
both
3
ends
of them
the
are going to
court.
be in the Olympics, on Team USA, because they're such team players, like you're putting White and Holiday on there to round out your team, it's
Exactly.
amazing.
They have the right attitude. And Tatum does too. I mean, he really does. Like, he could have pouted about his performance, but he went up there on, at the podium after every win, by the way, and he was not making it about him. I mean, he's going to get asked about his performance, and he's got no choice but to respond. But it's always been about the team, and so you gotta tip your cap, tip your hard hat, I guess, to the way he handled things. And yeah, he's gonna see a lot of more criticism. There's gonna be a microscope on him, and no, he didn't have an iconic, anywhere close to an iconic postseason or NBA Finals run. But at the end of the day, his team that he led for the most part throughout the season steamrolled the playoffs, and they're the NBA champions. And ultimately, I think at some point, John, they all got together. Maybe it was the very beginning of the season. They just said, listen, our goal is to win a championship. We're going to put the personal accolades aside. Yeah, we're going to put the personal accolades. Al's going to come off the bench, Holiday's going to take a reduced role. Tatum and Brown are going to coexist, and they're going to make each other better, and they're going to win a championship. If they do those things, on paper at least, they're the best team. If they do that on the court, there should be no issues. And to their credit, that's what they did.
And Tatum, to his credit, showed a different kind of leadership that I don't think gets enough credit for. Jalen became more vocal. There's no doubt about
Definitely,
that. But
definitely.
Tatum, his leadership was more by example, not only in terms of his play, but also in terms of his words. We joke about how, whenever he's asked about Jalen, he talks about we. But that's kind of how he played this season. I mean,
it was we, not me, right?
Yeah.
It was the Mbutu style. That's what the 08 team used to go with.
I mean, you look at Game 5 and we talk about how Sam Hauser was so impactful. When Sam couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, you would see Tatum pulling him aside during games and just really encouraging him, the kind of stuff that didn't make headlines. That was talked about national media. But when you look at that moment and you look at how Sam was able to stay confident, that wasn't just an internal thing. That was because the best player in your damn team is telling you need to keep shooting.
Right.
And little things like that, I think, are part of the fabric that makes Jason Tatum who he is and why he's a champion and why he's comfortable whether he's getting credit or not. The end of the day, you're not going to be remembered for whether you won that trophy. You're going to be remembered whether you have put a banner up there.
Right.
Because around here, that's the only
all that
thing
matters.
that matters. The only thing that matters.
These guys are eating and drinking for free for a long time now around the city. Yeah.
They are. One thing we didn't get huge into, is considering all the time we spent on it, and I think it's worth talking about, is Kristaps.
Should we wait for Bobby and blow his brain?
I'm out if that's going to happen.
What
again
are we
tonight.
doing? What are they even doing here? So they
I sat next to Bobby when Porzingis got checked in. I thought his head was going to pop off.
He's your backup center.
Yeah.
So I think, and again, you had to recalibrate what it was you were expecting him to do here, and we might have to recalibrate Bobby's brain a little bit on the Porzingis stuff, but maybe Game 4 was let's play him. Maybe it was the human victory cigar, but I'm not really going to play him unless I have a specific reason. But it was pretty clear immediately from the warm-ups how quickly they ruled that he was in, and then Joe saying he's got no limits. Of course he had limits, but that they were going to play him in rotation. And what did we say before the game? 4 4-minute stints. That's all we wanted. That's exactly what he did, basically. I mean, with a couple quick ins and outs sometimes where they were, subbing in offense and defense. But basically it was, can you get enough from Porzingis to feel better about what your lineup is out there doing, to not have to play Xavier Tillman, to not get beat up on the board so much, to have another shooter out there that the Mavericks should have to pay attention to, that it sucked the center out. He did. He kind of was a decoy. He's not out there bombing threes. They put him in the post once. He hit a couple free throws. That's what he did. That's all he needed to do. I think this was exactly what you were hoping for out of Porzingis. I don't think you could have expected any more. And outside of that first stint where the Mavs got him in a blender there, and he was just running all over the place.
Yeah, looked like Ray Allen out there.
Yeah, he was right. He was all over he looked like the Rudy Gobert meme a little bit, when he's trying to guard Steph Curry. He was just dancing around a little bit. Other than that, it's all you wanted. It was great, and the lift was great, which is again something we had to describe to Bobby, how emotion matters. It was a big lift.
Yeah.
Did Bobby
just
GPT?
on X's and O's here.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
That's like
Bobby does not compute.
I mean, there's a difference when you've got thousands and thousands of people cheering and clapping for you pretty much the minute you take a step onto the court versus Dallas.
Even pregame, like not pregame, but like right, like when the players come out of the tunnel, he didn't come out right away. He didn't come out right away, right? But then he came out on his own, and then like the whole place was like, oh,
and he's soaking it up, which was smart on his part. You're right, John. Really, other than that first, he does. But you know what? When you look at the places he's been from a basketball standpoint, can you really blame him?
No.
I mean, this is the first time he's been on a team that you actually had a semblance of hope that your season would not end on the last game of the regular season. And to his credit, he absolutely soaked it all in. And he did not care what role he had to play. And frankly, to me, Porzingis had one of the greatest jobs on this roster. I mean, think about it. You're making face of the franchise money as the third, maybe fourth best player. That is a great deal. That's incredible.
Coming
deal.
from a situation in like New York where he was expected to be the face of the franchise, and
couldn't get it done.
Right.
Struggled in Washington, struggled in Dallas.
He turned it around in Washington in the end there.
Well, he did, but he didn't struggle. The team sucked.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
no, he's been in some losing situations for sure. Yeah. And I honestly think Boston kind of gave him like a second lease on his basketball life. I think he felt like he was rediscovered in a way, right? I mean, because I can only imagine what it was like just playing on that Wizards team after, the hype surrounding him going into the league and the expectations. He's just on a Wizards team that's going absolutely nowhere. He put in a good, decent season, but still in and out of the lineup, health reasons and whatnot. Gets the call, gets traded to Boston. Immediately, you go from one of the worst teams in the league to arguably the best team in the league. And, I mean, I think obviously the games played was about as expected, but as far as his effect on the team, that was even better than I expected. And I had high expectations going in, Sherrod, but I just felt like the way he had an effect on this team, whether it was the 3-point shooting, whether it was the low post, whether it was on the defensive side, he just fit immediately. And he did give them that. Again, we talk about if it's not Tatum or Brown, it could be literally any one of these other guys. Porzingis, White, Holiday, Hauser on any given night. But when Porzingis was really feeling it, he was borderline impossible to stop.
Yeah, his defense really was what just jumped out at me. I did not realize he was
that mattered.
He proved himself to be, and that was.
It even mattered tonight. When he was limited.
Well,
his presence mattered.
Right after that slow start defensively, he really picked it up, started moving a little bit better. And I think the reason he struggled early on was he wasn't really sure physically what he could do at that end of the floor. He was very slow those first couple of possessions coming out to Josh Green. And then I think when he realized that I can move like I normally move, he was much better at just forcing them to keep swinging the ball as opposed to getting uncontested, wide open threes.
Facts, my dog.
Facts, my dog.
Facts, my dog,
what I think we're going to do here, and we're approaching the 2-hour mark, we did promise we're going to bring the group together, and we're going to do that. But in order to do that, we have to shut things down for a few minutes here and make it happen. So we are going to try to do that, and what we are going to do, guys, and
News team assemble.
The news team's going to assemble. We're bringing a Garden Report late night edition. We'll be live right after this. We just need a few minutes to set it up. We're going to get the whole gang on the court together. We're going to hang out. We're going to just bring the whole gang together one last time to talk about it and help bring in this championship
Family dinner
celebration with you guys. Yeah, well, we can do a little of this.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sprinkle some confetti.
Oh, I wasn't looking. Yeah.
There we go.
Don't forget, I
Let's make it happen.
can't see you unless I look down there. Wow, you got some.
Yeah,
You really did. There's plenty.
Oh, there's
plenty
plenty still out there.
I think we should set up on the finals stage.
I think that'll be gone.
The NBA finals stage. No, it's still up.
Hey, before we wrap this, I heard when I was relocating, certain people apologizing for Joe Mazzulla. I'm not going to apologize, but I am going to compliment him on how great he was this playoffs, like the whole playoffs. I'm not going to apologize because I know next season I'm going to despise him again when they won't stop shooting threes and he won't call timeouts. So
that's so boomery. The threes are the reason they won.
I don't care. It's not going to change. I like basketball how I like it, and that's that. So I'm not going to apologize, but I am going to give him his flowers because he was fucking awesome. And
Oh, now he's going to be able to sleep. He's
Nick,
going to be able to sleep
Nick,
tonight now, Nick.
Nick, why don't you and I keep this going a little bit? I'm going to let these guys go. Jimmy and Sherrod, you guys can head downstairs while Ahmed breaks that down. We'll keep talking a little, Nick, and kind of hold the line here. If Bobby's out there and he wants to jump in with us, he can as we wait to kind of set it up.
I don't see him.
Yeah. We'll hang on here a little bit. So, like I said, what we're going to do, we don't want to
John, was that our shot from the locker room?
Yeah, that was our stuff.
That was great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah, we'll get some more of that on there as well. But look at it, dude. You got nothing but boomers left. But I promise we'll get the kids on. We're going to get Josue on. We're going to get. Did you put that yourself on?
I want me to get rid of it. It's hilarious. Joso doubling down on stupidity. I'm the guy up here, and you're the guy chatting back there. So yeah, I'm doubling down on stupidity.
Yeah, no, I mean he was great. George, thank you, buddy. And you have been. He's a. Not only that, he was with us on George, and many guys here have been with us. From the bubble days, but also with our chats on Locker Room and all of that stuff that we were doing. Been fun to hang out with you guys for these last 4 years. A lot of OGs here. Obviously, we have Dudley, we have Kess, we've got Blorp, ATLIOL. So freaking many. Judah, there's insane amounts of people here who have been following us all the way through. It's really great to see you guys still here and still hanging out. For
honestly,
for
I gotta tell you, like, I know you guys all say like, oh, you give me a lot of crap, and I love it, to be honest with you, but that's why I keep showing up in the chat room show after show. It's really cool to be on here now, but this ain't my show anymore. There's the new crew that is just taking it to a whole new level.
Holy
and
crap,
I'm now a fan, right? So Colin, thank you for that. I am a fan of yours. But I'm now a fan, and I miss being in the chat room when I'm on the show. My eyes are looking at the chat. And yes, I am Generation X, not a boomer, Charlie. Thank you.
Yeah, but anything over 40 is a boomer, and that's
anything over 25 is a boomer, I think. Jimmy's in boomer territory now. Josue's in boomer territory. Big Nick energy. I've been more quiet than I've ever been.
Joey, if I've blocked you, it's because you deserved it. I actually don't know. If I did, I apologize. I do apologize.
Nick's also built this up. We love you too, Zach.
Yeah,
Big
so,
time.
Tatum, you have been here for 7 years. I do appreciate that.
It's we are coming back for 19 next year. So I'm a boomer. What the heck? I gotta say, this is incredible, John. I mean, I'm just sitting up here in the media section looking down on the court. There's the confetti everywhere still. Players are on and off the court, literally, like KP was just out here. Tatum was out here a little earlier. They come out to see their friends. And in the meantime, there are still fans here. Like
Louise, you were spamming your JB love, but we learned to understand and appreciate it. Yes, and I apologize.
Yes.
The mute's just a little. Yeah, I apologize. I could be a bit of a tyrant, but go ahead.
I think that sometimes you get on a. I don't think you're a tyrant, man.
Yeah, that's fine.
You've blocked me. You've canceled me from this show. Remember? During my crazy COVID time.
No, guys. One of the reasons a tad stoic. I wouldn't say stoic. One of the reasons you're getting about like 70% of this energy. I am in a working media room, so
Yes.
I don't want to be screaming into the microphone right now here. That's why when we get to the court, we're gonna bring Big Nick energy to the broadcast. I promise. It's coming. So we will light it up, and you get Bobby's first take, and I hope he got drenched. And I do hope that. Yeah, hold on.
Did you play the Ray Allen? I mean, that's something. Did he send that over?
What,
John? Did you get the Ray Allen hit?
I did. I played it. Yeah.
Oh, you did play it.
Nick,
right.
I'm being told the court is closed. Is that correct?
It looks close. Well, no, there's still people, but I think it is. They're ushering people off now as we speak.
Oh, that's so funny. So we got to figure out what and where we can go live from, because we did want to do it. So we are figuring that out right now. But the
court, they are ushering people off. For you, John. They know we're on our way out, so they're making room for us. I mean, it's not like a mad dash of security. It's just that you could see them moving people out.
We're being thrown off. They're not supposed to do it. We're supposed to be able to stay here like literally till the end of time.
So when will the parade be? Wednesday, probably on Juneteenth. So everybody will be out of school.
So I don't believe so, and because I think there's going to be Juneteenth, commemorations and observances that day. I also think the heat wave is going to make it prohibitive to be able to do this in the next couple of days. You might not get a cool down until Friday. So I wouldn't be stunned if they push it, but the problem is some players kind of want to go do their thing. So I am curious.
Well, that's not been the first time, John. I mean, because back a lot of times people would skip the
Hey, thank you, Jason.
But
yeah, hold on.
If they wait till Friday, that might be fun.
Parade is Friday, I've been told.
Oh, it is Friday.
They're going to Miami, and then they're coming back here for the Friday parade. All right, so it is Friday. Oh,
good for them.
Yeah.
That means we got to work Friday, John.
Yeah, that is wild. Yeah.
That means we got to. But that means. Yeah. Oh, look
no,
I'm on solo. I'm on solo. No, I'm the sentimental one now, and it is amazing to be here after coming to this arena and shooting shows since 2011 or so, to now be sitting here and talking about Banner 18 for 14 or 16 years, however long it's been. And now to actually know that it's going to get raised. And I swear to God, I will be here opening night when they raise that banner and give out those rings. John, you've been here before. For guys like me, I'm looking around and I couldn't believe how they told me 400 pounds of confetti was thrown out on the court. 400 pounds of confetti.
Yeah.
Tissue paper.
It's not a Celtics related thing, but as I said, I've been fortunate. I've gotten to see a few of these over the years. One of my favorite ones was a Super Bowl against the Panthers with the Patriots. That was their second Super Bowl win, and I had somehow found my way out onto the field earlier than you were supposed to. And before they could pull all the media back, Rodney Harrison broke his arm, and they had to cart him off the field, and they stopped caring about us because they needed to get him through the tunnel. So I just worked my way up like the sideline, and I was just there watching Vinatieri's kick go through, and the confetti gun exploded. I was right next to it. I had no idea. Exploded in my face, and it was like pressurized, and I just got literally blown away. But it was crazy. Trophy is Friday late. No. And the late night edition is as soon as we can get set up, and we will set up, and we promise we'll bring it to you in just a little bit. Super chat's still rolling in. We want to thank everybody from it. Dirk, I don't disagree. We haven't gotten into this talk much, and we will in a second, but I want to finish Nick's thought before that. Is it the beginning? And yes, of course, everybody thinks it. What's the reason to believe that this is anything other than the start of something rather than, well, they got one and let's just break it up and then figure it? You're assuming that this is to be the team for 2 and 3 years. And outside of Al Horford being up there in age, there's nobody here you're super worried about isn't going to come back and be the same guy or better next year, which is insane to think about as they are locked up. And if they manage to get this Derek White extension, and yeah, they're going to be in cap jail and over the second apron for a little while. But this is built to be a expensive team for the next couple of years, ridiculously expensive when the Tatum extension
No one
kicks
can
in.
bitch about Wick.
But they're going to ride it out, and they're going to roll this back, and there's every reason to believe that it could be the same or better going forward, which is insane.
And I also think that there is some.
They say this is
benefit,
so boomer, but you guys know how young I was. I was 20 years younger. I was far from a boomer at that point when I got bodied by that cannon. It's far from a boomer. We might bring in just to carry us while we set up on the live. We might bring in Bobby Manning a little bit and get his sense. I was hoping Bobby would be soaked by champagne for not taking my advice,
John.
but he's fine. Bobby, you look dry. Did you not party correctly? What happened?
Yeah, I stayed off to the side for the most part. Well, I think it was just kind of luck that didn't happen because it was spraying all over the place. I got hit a couple of times, but no waterfalls on me. So I do find they're looking pretty dry. But there were a few moments where it hit me. But, man, what a scene in there. I was in there for about an hour, talked to as many people as I could. But, man, it was just mostly music blasting, guys going crazy. Jordan Walsh especially was in a different world, as a lot of them were. But, man, you could tell. And what guys talked about in there for the most part was the collectiveness of this group. And obviously we talked throughout the year of the Browns and Tatums and Horfords and everyone else who were crucial to this team. But they had a hell of a bench. And they had guys who could step in 1 to 15 in different roles. I think pretty much everybody on the active roster did something this year. So you had a group here. And obviously you had the main guys and the two-way guys and all that who didn't do a ton, but we're talking about like 15, 16 people who legitimately contributed to this team, felt like they contributed. Probably only like Walsh, JD, and a couple other guys didn't do much for this group. I mean, even Keita had a big role for that week or two where all the bigs were out. So this is a team that was very together. A lot of talk about sacrifice, especially the younger guys are saying that what they learned from this group this year was how important it is to sacrifice, how important it is to put yourself aside. And, that was really one of the dominating themes this year, right? Similar to 08. And, I don't know how much you've talked about that, John, but in the end, I think we rolled our eyes a little bit at the beginning of the year when they were forcing a lot of that 08 comparison talk. But this team,
I don't know, Bobby. I didn't roll my eyes much. I think I was on record saying that I think that this team, talent-wise, was really close. What I didn't know necessarily was the culture change aspect of it, where that was a little hard to believe that it would change so quickly because you brought in basically 2/3 of what came in from elsewhere of that new core was out from the outside, and the one guy, KG, being the alpha, literally everybody followed his lead, and he was such a force of nature that you didn't know what you had here. You knew you had guys who were willing to play their roles well. You didn't quite know what you were getting in Porzingis, who, while having an excellent season the year before in Washington, you weren't sure the fit, you weren't sure the health, you weren't sure if it was a flash in the pan sort of thing. And I think night one with Porzingis in the way that he played, you were like, oh my God, this is something. They let you know who they were early. And you were getting it all year long. Again, there's almost no let up. You look at every point in the schedule, Bobby, and there's just not slumps. There's not down patches. There weren't those, where,
they never lost more than 2 games in a row.
They never lost more than 2 games in a row. It was insane. And obviously they had great health luck as well, but also they had so much depth of top end talent. They could play without 1 and 2 guys and be much better than the majority of teams who were playing, particularly teams who were missing a player. It wasn't even close, and they did it all year long.
In the final record,
I mean, they did
80
it
and
from
21.
they did it from legit day one. I think maybe the only knock was Bobby. As you always point back to, are they going to play defense the way that they need to play defense all year? And at times they didn't, but also, how can you blame them? You're telling me some boredom's not going to set in an 82 game season when you're just killing people and you end up winning the conference by 14, 15 games. They did a pretty good job of not losing their focus here. But the most impressive thing to me about the entire finals run was the defense and how committed they were to it, because their offense was not outstanding. And Dallas did make them work for some of it, and they weren't that efficient, and they weren't knocking down shots at a really great clip, but their defense was relentless.
Phenomenal.
At least it was their effort. And Bobby, you always said this, and I do agree. If this team defends, they can't lose, because there's going to be enough offense there. They're capable of being an elite defensive team when they try. And if they do that, a team like Dallas is never going to be able to outscore them if the Celtics go balls to the wall, and they did.
Yeah, the quote I'll remember most from the team this year actually came from Derek White. They have an answer for everything. They just have to find it. They just have to get there. They have to react to what's going on. And, now I'm starting to talk, but they have everything here. They had everything here, and it's amazing to think. You had guys going down left and right this year. You had games where two guys were out, two key guys. I think one of the things we said coming into the year, John, was you have a top six here that pretty much is going to have to do everything for this team. And if you even lose one guy, you're going to be in huge trouble. You lost one guy for basically the whole playoffs in Porzingis and got by. And that was an area where you were a little more suited. You had backup starter effectively there in Horford, who was able to come in and do his thing and play at the level he did.
True.
And that helped you a ton here. And for him to sustain, because he was ready in 2022. He was ready last year. He's been ready for a long time to do this. And the team finally came around him and, allowed him to have his moment here. And you start to worry a little bit that, after 2022 and last year when it fell to shambles in the East Finals and you were uncertain about where this core was going, that Horford would never get that one. And that's honestly what feels the best for me out of this, is seeing him do that. So he was ginormous. Again, Hauser. I didn't think he was going to play a minute in the finals, John. And he's out here hitting threes in the clincher. He was all over the series. He's defending
his
Luka.
defense, the amount of deflections he got, them tap outs. He was active tonight. He was awesome tonight. He was clearly like a huge part of the rotation.
He was a huge part of the team all year. Played every day. Shot out of this world. I've even seen national evaluators and people, who cover the sport nationally start to say, this guy, the numbers he's put up, and I don't have the playoff ones right in front of me, but all year and what he's done going back to college and so far in his NBA career, so far one of the best shooters ever. And he's had his slumps, and certainly in the Indy series, he was an absolute mess, and that's what made me think he was going to fall out of the rotation here. But another guy depth-wise on this team who knew his role, fit a role, and sustained. The sustained success of this bench this year was really impressive, and how everybody knew their roles, and starters, key guys knew their roles too. That's what it takes to win a championship, and it felt like everybody on this roster knew their role. And that brings me to Jalen. It's so crazy, John, because we were sitting there in November saying, how's he going to fit in? Where is he going to fit in on this team?
Who took the longest to figure it out? It was him, right?
Yeah, and in the end,
in the beginning, and it didn't take that long, but it did take the longest of those guys to figure out exactly where he fit. But then from whatever the turning point was, he was playing the best basketball of his career once he kind of locked it in, and so much of it came down to not forcing anything. Whereas that was always maybe the thing you could be most critical about in his game was forcing the issue, dribbling with his head down into traffic, taking shots when they weren't necessarily there, doing things outside of the flow. He didn't make bad decisions this year. His reads were outstanding. He just stopped doing all of the things that, that had held him back before from kind of reaching that next elite level. His stats came down a tad, but he was just such a much better player. And then the commitment on the defensive end as well. He was ridiculous this year. Ridiculous. Last 2/3 of the season, you can argue he was their best player.
And the defense, if we're going to write a book about this season or a documentary or whatever it will be, the first moment to me, the moment that started this whole season was that event where he signed the extension, the MIT event that he does every year, the program for the kids. And one of the biggest things he said that day toward the next season that was about to come was defense. Get the defensive identity back. He wanted to recommit to defense, and he didn't make the all-defensive team like he wanted to. He and Tatum both said that going into the year that they wanted to be on those all-defense teams. But they both reached a level that they were capable of. Those guys have all the defensive tools in the world. And it was so frustrating, John. I know you were just talking a lot about the offensive frustrations you had watching Brown in the past. You were probably about as frustrated as anyone watching him some of these past seasons. But nothing drove us crazier than watching a guy who's 6'5", 6'6", great length, strong, started his career as a defender, just get lost and give up key
it's always been the knock
against Philly.
Yeah, it's all. Oh my God, that still haunts me. But leaving Harden in the corner, but it was that's always been the knock on him, though. It was outstanding lockdown individual defender when he's focused on it, but not necessarily a good team defender. He cleaned up that stuff a lot too. They really were connected. You didn't see him drifting, or there was always problems sometimes with overhelping, getting lost sometimes on screens or switches. Miscommunications where people would be looking at each other, and oftentimes it was kind of like, yeah, that was you. That didn't happen this year, not nearly as well. So you clean that aspect of it up, and then you are this athletic beast like he is, who can keep anybody in front of him. I mean, that's as much one of the most fun things of this entire series was just watching him relentlessly hound Luka up and down the court. It was great. It was great to watch.
Yeah, and that keyed many of these series, many of these matchups, allowing him to embrace that one matchup, play to his strength, and benefit from his commitment to that matchup. And they switch and they do different schemes and stuff, but a lot of the time it was him on a Luka, him on a Donovan Mitchell, him on all these different star wings that the Celtics went against during this run. And they benefit from that immensely. And that's where you go back to Joe here. All the doubts about him, all the criticism about him, valid last year, right? He struggled at moments. It felt like he had a tough time figuring out what this team was going to be, how he would make his imprint on it, how he'd get the team to believe in him. Because for a lot of last year, I don't have reporting on this, but there seemed to be doubts in him in different points. And it obviously reached ahead in that East Finals. And we've talked about, John, how if they get swept there, probably wouldn't have been great for him. And even he admitted as such.
No.
He on that podcast going into the year was like, think about how we were obsessed with the 1 seed all year. Everyone was obsessed with the 1 seed. He even, looked at me and said, you were asking how to feel to lose that 1 seed. Do you regret that? And he pointed out, if we won that 1 seed, we would have played the Heat round 1 and we would have lost probably, and I would have been fired. And so they play them in these finals and they lose, but they make that comeback that they did there. And a lot of it felt too little too late. They obviously blew up the team or parts of the team after that. But it showed something there. And I think it gained him some breathing room. He obviously got the extension there, which was important too. But this year, and obviously I'm sure some of the assistants helped, and he had a different team, maybe a more bought-in team, a full summer certainly, all that stuff. I sat here late last May, and we asked the question, should you fire Joe? And I leaned yes. But I said, if they believe in him, if they think he has enormous potential, all the excuses are valid. No summer, thrust in late September, assistants who are about to bolt out the door at the end of the year, a team that maybe wasn't 100%, 1,000% bought in. all that was valid. I don't think anyone had more excuses coaching-wise in league history than Joe last year. So their commitment to him, I thought, was valid. I didn't love it. I had my doubts about him. I had my doubts about some of the philosophies, John, but you look at what it did. The threes, for all the complaining about the threes, their ability to get a shot off quick, the first open shot, get a quality look off each time down the floor, that took a team that in the finals 2 years ago turned the ball over on 16, 17% of their possessions to a team that led the league in turnover percentage this year, best turnover percentage in the league, and they never gave away the ball this year. And that's a lot on Joe. Joe emphasized the offensive rebounding. How many times was Drew in there tonight? Just grabbing an offensive board,
Well,
giving them more time, giving them another opportunity.
What became
Spacing.
clear as what became clear as the season went on, Bobby, was, I think there was some perception of, is Joe doing anything or just letting them play, to how much of his identity and character that the team did take on. He relentlessly hammered home the concept of winning the math games, and some people thought it was ridiculous. And how many arguments were had, and how many back and forths on games where they would shoot too many threes and not hit them, and then questions asked about too many threes. Look, definitively, resoundingly, Joe was right about the math. He was right about all of it. The math, in terms of Celtics getting up more threes and why that was important. The shots that they were willing to concede to other teams, the way they wanted to play defense. It wasn't all about, why is that guy open? It was, I'm willing to live with that. And that was hard for a lot of people to see, because your instinct is just guard the open shooter, And you see, like, that game against Miami where they lose game 2, that was a great example of it. And they're like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. They weren't super worried about it. They had a plan. Joe had a plan and a vision for how he thought this team could and would win. And by the end, you could see how bought in all of them were, and the way that they were talking about him when being asked about it. There's a lot of, I think that year one, you never know, right? Because the coach does more than just X's and O's. The coach has to kind of come in the room, and you got to feel that he always is on top of things. And you don't know what you don't know. And Joe took lumps, and that's hard to do as a rookie coach with a veteran team that has championship aspirations. But year 2, he cleaned up so much of that there was clear buy-in from all of these guys. And you can really see it in both how the way they talked about him and the way that they played. They really respect this guy.
Yeah, I see some people in the chat also asking about the parade. Gary Washburn tweeting out that Celtics are going to go to Miami for a couple of days, and the parade will be Friday here.
Yeah, so we will do something from the parade. It is not and this is the link to our late night show, guys. As soon as those guys are set up, we're shutting this down. We're going to run into position. We're going to jump on so you can see the whole crew together in one spot and do that. So again, link to the late night show. Jump up there, you guys, and make sure that you check it out because we are going to kind of bring the whole gang together here. Yeah, Friday. I think a lot of people were guessing the heat is one of the issues here. They're trying to avoid.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I think it's hitting 90s. I know you guys probably talked about it for an hour, John. How surprised were you Jalen won the MVP?
I didn't talk about it at all because I don't care much about MVPs.
It was 7-4.
I thought Tatum locked it up tonight. I thought, I thought he did. But again, when you put up the numbers, if you want to go side by side with them and you want to talk about it a little bit, Tatum, and I'll throw him up here real quick. That was his numbers tonight. But if you look at his series numbers here, it's that 38% field goal percentage that I think killed him in 26 from 3. He just didn't shoot well enough to justify winning in some people's eyes, even though he did do so many other things. And I think Brown ultimately gets the nod for, the shooting the ball a little bit better, even though from 3 he was brutal again tonight. He did well with as far as his assists and his rebounds go, relative to his stats. But I think he gets the nod simply for drawing the assignment of having to defend full court for an entire game. And obviously there's switches and this and that, but the best offensive player in basketball. I think that's what tips it for him.
Yeah, and I'm sure I haven't heard some of the arguments from the voters. Again, I would have voted Tatum. I understand
I
Brown.
thought he had it. I thought he got it.
Especially from a numbers standpoint, scoring-wise, efficiency-wise. Brown a little better than Tatum here. So I get it. And the defensive role he played in this series warrants a nod. And Tatum struggled early, and someone had to pick him up. And if you think about how the series went, the early games end up meaning a little bit more than some of the later ones because you have the cushion there when Tatum starts to turn it on. Again, though, the passing, even tonight, out of this world. You never imagined it'd be this consistent, this effective, this clean, no turnovers. For most of the series, he avoided those. And he's dealing with that crowd of 2-3 guys, John, early and often here, and he manages to just keep making the right play. I know we dealt with that argument for him all year, even when he shot at his worst. But it became true. I thought it became the story of this series early and often. I don't think he was robbed. I don't think it's a huge snub. Either one of these guys could have gotten it. And they both certainly got plenty of help around them. But I guess the biggest argument you can make for Brown here is that he was a tone setter, even vocally. The encouragement you heard him giving Tatum throughout the playoffs, the talk in the huddles after losses, some of the statements he would make, even after games where he just didn't feel like they generally played well. Emotion-wise, not on the court, he ended up becoming this team's KG, which I was surprised about. He's a quieter guy. These guys didn't always embrace leadership, vocal leadership. But when Smart went out the door, one of the biggest arguments you heard for that, John, was these guys, Jalen, Jason, need to step up as the leaders. And I'm sure Jason did some things too in that regard. But Jalen's the guy you saw. Jalen's the guy you heard. And he seemed to set a tone for this team from a vocal standpoint.
He did. And because if you think about it, you look at all of the other leaders on the team. You have Tatum, who's never really embraced that role. That's not his style. And then everybody else is a quiet professional, with Holiday and White and Horford. And a lot of people would always look to Al, like, why isn't Al going in there and tell? It's not his thing. He's a lead by example guy. But you had three of those guys. Somebody had to. It wasn't going to be Porzingis either. So it really kind of had to, by default, be Brown, and I do think he was that guy, and he became the energy guy. And I think Tatum was fine to let him have it. I don't think he was like,
they coexisted.
Yeah.
At times they enhanced each other. I think of the game 3, the third quarter there, some of the best passing between them I've ever seen. I think they had 7 assists to each other in that game combined. It was a high number for them. And
which is very high.
They're not guys who are going to play off.
That's their season average. That's their collective season average. To average it to each other is just pretty significant.
Yeah. So they found their spots on the floor. For Tatum, a lot of times it was at the top, on the ball, initiating things. And for Brown, many times he got closer to the basket with the ball in his hands off a pass and finished. And that dynamic worked. They found their spots. The matchup often went in Brown's favor, right? He would find the Kyries of the world or those smaller guys. And again, to go back to some of the identifiable traits of this team, what made them who they are, they never let anybody off the hook. And who knows how they would have done against the Denver here. Obviously, all of us were scared of that to some degree. Minnesota physically, especially with the new officiating, would have been tough. But Dallas, not just that they were a 5 seed and maybe not the strongest team in the West, but it was a team that they could exhibit their mismatch hunting to the highest degree against. And that's what allowed them to win this series in 5. And it made their offense so potent at different points here in this series. They could just work Luka, tire him out, take him out of the game. Kyrie, that was always there as a target. So that was great. We talked a lot about the defense off the top in this series, and that was key for when things went cold. Obviously, they had that 8-point stretch tonight for 11 minutes, John, and they held the Mavs to 8 points over that stretch. So their ability to sustain some of these droughts, some of these lapses offensively, they're always going to be there to some degree with this group. That was huge. So that's big. And then you go to Kristaps. I couldn't believe he got out there tonight, John.
Good. With the chat. The chat's been dying to hear your Kristaps take.
I understand it now. I understand that the lift he gave them just by getting out there. He didn't do a ton tonight, but when he entered the game, the energy it gave the crowd, the energy it gave the team, him able to get that mismatch against Green, not really move much, and at different points his movement here didn't look good, and that defensive stretch to start his first stint was not good at all, and the Mavs were ready for it.
No.
And it almost looked like something that could have disrupted them. And I said coming into tonight, John, if it went the wrong way in that first stint, that could have deflated the team. That could have made him incapable of continuing to play. That could have thrown the whole night for a loop. But he comes out in that second stint and does much better. That play where Luka tried to target him in the corner and couldn't get by him, threw it out, got it back, couldn't get by him again, just ends up settling for a three over him. That was a huge moment for Kristaps in this one. And
Yeah, I also like when Jones tossed him to the ground, he snapped right back up.
Yeah, and so who knows what the summer is going to hold for him. Did he say anything? You guys were listening in a little bit, I bet. I wasn't in on him. I'm sure he's going to have surgery. Who knows what's going to happen with the Olympics for him, which kind of sucks. But this is the finals. This is your championship moment, and he got out there and did whatever he could. Obviously, he was at the podium here with the trophy after, saying, how could he not get out there? And a lot of the talk leading up to this game after the injury, obviously, was that he was willing to die out there. That was my question I asked him in the locker room there. And as long as the medical staff allowed him, he was going to get out there. And it was a positive tonight, a ginormous positive, an energy lifter. And I don't know if they would have been able to do it without him.
No, it was all of those things. And they probably could, I guess, but it does change the tone for a lot of different things because, as we said before the show, it almost did act like a decoy where you do put them out there and you force their bigs to extend, you force them to defend out, past the three-point line. And so that clears things up in the paint. You got him one or two good touches in the post where he was able to capitalize there and shoot over the top of somebody. But then defensively, he did challenge a couple of shots. It wasn't, he wasn't moving, in space great. But you don't want Kristaps in space against this team or really anybody anyway. They did a really good job protecting him, letting him play drop, doing the thing that they did in game 2 there, where they would extend out, push out the defender, let Porzingis jump back before they could get the ball back into the interior or to a lob to one of their big guys, and did a good job closing us out. And then he was there to kind of, just be that little bit of rim presence that they needed, that didn't exist before when he's out, and really doesn't exist if he's not able to provide it. They don't have another guy who does that for them. So he didn't end up with any blocks, but he did have a couple of challenges. And I thought all of that stuff mattered. And again, he did exactly what we said, Bobby. We're looking at 3-4 minute stints, just get out there. And that's what he did. And I think it's better than the 11, 12, 13 minutes you would have gotten from Tillman in place there, because it's not just what he did, it's what it allows the rest of the team to do. The only worry was kind of what happened in that first stint, which is, what if it's awful? And it wasn't awful, but it wasn't great, because they got 5 open threes in the first 3 minutes he was on the court. And if they knocked those down, that could have been. So there was some moments there where you're like, oh. So I am very happy with how he looked in that second second rotation when he got back in there. Much better. And you do wonder, maybe he just needed to test it a little bit. He was still a little tentative. I think the Celtics helped him out much in that first quarter either with the switching. He was like, wait, where did you go and where am I supposed to be now? Guys kind of the Celtics didn't do him any favors.
Yeah, and they did some good things schematically. You even saw it through that first sequence where they were getting the threes off of him. They would try to bring him into actions, and he would switch off a guy to his side. And that guy, Derek White, in the first case where I saw it, would switch onto the guy who was trying to screen off the ball handler. So Porzingis could stay back, and that guy would end up coming and switching, which was White at that point. And it was clunky. That's what allowed some of the miscommunications and threes that they got off there. I think Green got back-to-back ones. Exum got one off over him. But it was good scheming. It was good execution in a lot of cases. And this is what I loved about this team. They had some zones they could go to. They had some different ways they could align defensively. They could switch matchups, so they could have different guys defending the screener and switching onto the ball handler. Tatum, for a lot of the series, would guard the center, so he'd be able to come out and pop on the Luka or Kyrie. There's just a
That's something
versatility.
he's not. Yeah, that's something he's not getting enough credit for. He had to bang with Gafford a lot down low. That wasn't awesome
And the
for him either.
rebounding.
Most stars don't do that. Like they don't do that.
And that's where the
switching gears a little
conversation
bit
becomes.
past Tatum.
That's where the conversation becomes difficult now. And listen, he's a champion, so he's there with Jokic. He's there with Giannis, among those guys at the top of the league who have led their team. But the way he did it didn't look like those guys. He didn't carry the ball for 40% of the game like Luka did. He didn't score all the points. He didn't carry the team single-handedly on the offensive end like a lot of those stars do at the top of the league. But we kept asking throughout this playoff run, John, who is Tatum? What does he do? And Joe summed it up well a lot of the times where he'd get these questions and talk about him. His versatility is what makes him great. I think you could argue there's never been a more versatile wing who touches every area of the game like he does, quite like he does, because he can shoot. Maybe he's not elite as a shooter. Certainly he went through these crazy slings with it this year, but he's a threat out there.
Tatum.
Yeah. The finishing.
Tatum's got to go back to the lab a little
way.
bit. His shot got funky. Somebody tweeted that his jump shot looks like an elephant unfurling its trunk, and it is. It became weird, kind of groovy with him. He's got to get back to it a little bit and just get a quick snap release. Something was a little bit off with that. I think it became a little bit deliberate and long, and I don't know if that's because it wasn't flowing through him and he was maybe trying to, take a little bit more, like maybe be. I'm not a shot doctor, but it did look a lot funkier as the
It became his
season
weakness.
progressed.
It became his weakness. But everywhere else, efforts, the passing, the ball control, the defense, the rebounding, positional versatility that he could play for this team. They put him at the 5 again tonight. Didn't go great, but he's capable of that. And that isn't something, like you said, other stars do in this league. I just try to put it one way. There's certainly been more versatile stars than him that have played this game. But I think in the league today, there's not a star more versatile than him. Is that fair to say?
Maybe Giannis. I don't know.
But Giannis can't shoot.
I would say SGA is pretty versatile too, and is his ability to defend as well, and what he's able to do.
I don't know if he can defend up though.
No, he can't. Jimmy Butler's another guy, but he's not as prolific a scorer.
No shooting for him
there either, and he's not a terrific shooter. Prime Kawhi for sure, but again, he's not. He's not entirely himself right now. Durant, I think, is really close too because he defends a lot better than people give him credit for, and he also is a pretty good playmaker. And he's got that midi game that is just makes him such an elite 3-level scorer. That he's someone who probably doesn't get a credit enough for all that he does, but he's also getting up there in age, and you're not putting Durant on centers or your best guy and this and that. Once again, I'm putting this up here. We're doing as promised here. We are going to get the band together. We're going to gather up. We're going to do one last little stint here. Garden Report late night. The link is pinned here, and as you can see it, jump over in about 5 minutes. The link is already active. You can jump in there, jump in the waiting room. We are just setting up. Amit's set up. Those guys are in place. Bobby and I just need to get there. Give us like 5 minutes, guys. We're going to jump in, and we are going to do a little bit more Garden Report. You get Josue's take as well, and you get to see all of us hanging out together. We want to ring this one in with you guys before we wrap it up. So we're going to wrap this one up, and we're going to head upstairs, and we're going to do our final show. Go seek out that link. Thank you guys for hanging out. Celtics defeat the Mavericks 106-88. They win their 18th NBA.
I got one more question
NBA
for you,
record.
John.
Yeah, we can do it in the other show.
All right, I'll save it.
You want to save it?
Yeah, I'll save it.
Okay, save it. Thank you, guys. We're going to wrap this up. We'll see you guys in like 5 minutes, okay? Check out that link. We'll be right back. Once again, Celtics win it all. Thank you guys so much, but this isn't goodbye. This is see you in a little bit. We hope
5 minutes.
as many of you as we can return. Celtics win it. We've been going for 2.5 hours straight. We're going to do a little bit more. We hope to see you guys all there. And we are wrapping this one up now.
Wait, Amit's got an outro for us, I think.
No, he doesn't.
He said he was going to work on an outro.
He had a phenomenal game.
Phenomenal
game. Forfeit's out. I think it's an option. That did not sound like a chair.
It was a freaking chair. It does sound